You need that window closed.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Head Father, we come to you, Lord, and these people that are trying to do your will. God, just gently nudge us when we need it, Lord. Guide us, direct us, keep our hearts, our minds, our spirits and our mouths, Lord, where they should be. Let us think and say things that cause good things to happen here in Brown County and in Jesus' name, amen. All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes.
It's a wonderful day to be at a meeting, 72 degrees. We got the window open in here actually, so spring is coming. So the first thing on our agenda is county personnel or public comment. Is there any? And if there's not, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Can I
Bill.
bring something up?
Yeah.
So someone asked me about the intangibles tax. And evidently some townships pay intangibles tax. This is a question to you, Nick, I guess. So do you give out, does people file those forms or?
Yeah, your people turn them in here.
Some. I just wonder how many people put them in or. I don't know too much about intangibles tax.
You had somebody ask you about it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Why Brown County doesn't have it, but some of the townships do, that's the way I understand it.
By resolution, like. In or out of it, and they can. Do it the same way it started, so by election and by resolution.
Okay.
You know, it's by township stuff. Have it still.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, so I didn't know that. So some townships do, some townships don't. You're a wealth of information. Thank you. Does that answer your question? Okay. Is there any other county personnel or public comment? Amy, did you come in here and talk to us? You want to do it now? We,
Yeah. You have any public? No, okay, it's here. Yeah, that's fine.
you're up.
We need.
Oh, okay. For how many minutes? Okay, I'll make a motion then to go into executive session. 10 minutes for non-elected personnel and duties with the 3 commissioners, the road and bridge secretary, county clerk. Is that who you want in here?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. So 10 minutes brings us back here about 1:13, 1:14. We're out of executive session, back into regular with no binding action taken. We still have road bridge secretary here, so we got some questions for him. We're
Do you know the gentleman that's coming in to talk to us? This might be him.
Just when, we brought in. the-
Okay. So we took the road trip last week and we were going to put some, or submit some bridges. Is that going the way it's supposed to go?
So I spoke with the engineer,
Oh,
regarding what we talked about on the trip, the two bridges. And the one was the historic one, said that the grants do not cover anything that would restore in place or protect in place, unfortunately. That doesn't mean that there would be a grant out there that might. But doesn't, just explained to me, that's a bridge that nobody's gonna wanna see come out. With everybody taking care of it the way they are and taking pictures and stuff. So, I did talk to him about the other bridge that we agreed on Old 36.
Mhm.
And he said that, he said that he could get the paperwork going on that, it's a couple hours worth of paperwork. But I explained to him what commissioners would have to come up with if there is a second bridge. He hadn't done that yet.
okay.
When we did the road trip, we thought that, we were hoping that we could do the one on 36 and that one.
Mhm.
So that's where it is right now.
So we need to make a decision then. We need to do it today, so you have it in time to submit. Is that
On the second structure, second bridge.
Yeah.
It would, yeah. Yeah, because that wouldn't be an off-system bridge of the one that we already talked about.
in my head? We had a February 22nd deadline to submit. 20. Okay. That's, so we'll do.
So the one on Old 36 is on, it's not off system, it's,
He knew the bridge. I gave him the number and he said that it would be applicable for, I think, the acronym,
KLVIP.
correct,
It's FAS 22 is what you're talking about. The one on 240 of East of.
correct.
Yeah, and it's the best KLBI, which is what you just said.
Mhm.
Okay, so then we need to choose.
and
from-
that's a 90-10 one, right?
Right.
We'll do that. Because you took pictures.
I
We
did.
can review.
What did you learn on your bridge visit last week? When y'all visited, did all four of you, whatever, bridges, and then overall, technical, what did you learn?
What we did was, there's a grant program. And there's two different grants, two different types of bridges, and we just looked at the ones that are rated the lowest in the county that should be eligible for these. So what we learned was, we've got one really good candidate for one grant, and what we thought would be the candidate for the second, it's not gonna fit, so we just gotta choose from another one. We're trying to prioritize bridges on oil roads or gravel roads. But the way our ratings go, I don't think we have one on gravel. We're gonna have to choose. If we apply for this grant, we're gonna have to choose one on a dirt road.
So most of them are on paved road, what's in kind of.
The ones we wanted to fix first, prioritize or pave or gravel, and we wanna allocate grant money that direction. So. Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. You're just here. So if that's it, we'll hammer on through.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, the first thing, we have a 1:30, and he's in the back, and we'll start exactly at 1:30, so welcome. And we've got a 2 o'clock and a 2:30, so let's move on to item number 1, which is the minutes from February 2nd. Were there any additions or corrections or clarifications, I guess, to the minutes?
Yes, I had a question on that one bridge we looked at.
Okay,
Was one of the ones by Baker? Is that the one?
I don't know. I wrote down the numbers as we looked at them. That's all.
I thought it was, maybe should have been an FAS instead of a OS bridge.
the one by Baker. What do you mean?
Well,
You
you
were
go,
talking about the bridge, the last bridge that we
Yeah.
checked out was on Baker Road,
right,
and you're asking if it's an FAS or an OS.
right.
Okay,
One we're replacing, but it's already in process.
the one that's already in progress.
No, that's a 51.
Yeah, that's in there.
That's the
But I thought you, in a minute, so get back to, I thought you said it was a 53 or something.
Oh, it says OS 53. I don't see it in the list. We did just talk a little bit about FAS 53, but we never got,
Right,
we just drove right over it, so.
so,
I think it's just a friendly amendment, change the OS to FAS if that's possible. In the work session, where you list the bridges and it says the last one is OS 53. I believe that is FAS 53.
Well, I'll put the next one, so we need to take out that.
Take it out. You're. Yeah. And then I had one. The next scheduled work session will be held at 5:30.
Mhm.
Are we not having one in the afternoon?
I don't think we do anything.
Okay, I didn't know if we were calling that the work session is my question.
We need them.
Okay, so then we'll reschedule Keith Grid.
One on the agenda for Monday, or I'm sorry, Tuesday, the 17th.
You got it for Tuesday.
Wait,
Yeah, because we don't have Monday is a holiday.
No, I understand. So that's all right. That doesn't matter. I will take care of that because I told him wrong. You said Tuesday, I must have heard it as Thursday. So,
I was gonna get on schedule.
okay,
On
wonderful.
17th.
No, that was my mistake. So then we're fine with that because we won't have a work session on Thursday because we have our coffee with.
I mean, unless you guys have to think, we did.
No, my reason was just how I explained it. It was my misunderstanding. So sorry about that. Anything else on the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve? Is
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
there a second?
no, second,
Moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. So, okay, next is payroll. Any questions or comments on payroll?
I had one question on payroll. I believe when I was looking at it, we had a little bit of overtime worked, very small amount of overtime worked in the appraiser's office. And I was just wondering what causes that. I know that you guys probably don't have the answer on that, but that was my only question. And I thought that after the meeting that you wanted me to, I could walk up and ask them. They did.
Well, maybe take a lunch. If we're doing lunch.
Okay.
$66 worth.
It's not a lot. It just usually
Just don't
those kind
see
of
it there.
offices don't have overtime, so just caught my attention.
Okay,
So if it's okay with you guys,
go ahead.
I'll ask them after the meeting.
I'm with me. Mike, I will
Hmm.
ask an overtime question again on the dispatch jail and the office there and sheriff's department. Did you find anything out about?
So I've talked to the sheriff twice about it, and obviously their overtime is not something that's planned usually. It's usually because somebody isn't showing up or they have some sort of call that requires them to do that, but we could probably also call Sheriff Merchant in and just ask them exactly what it takes the overtime
Yeah,
and who's the deciding factor on it, I guess would be really the question I would have.
And so when you have a holiday in a period, you're probably gonna have more overtime than that. Thankfully, I'd say. Cause they gotta work.
Mhm.
well, that's true. That's true. Okay, well, I see it and that is a fairly big number. 2 pay periods in a row, so yes.
About 200 hours a week is what I think I saw.
Well, that's my question. So then is there no more questions on payroll? Is there a motion to approve that?
And move we approve the payroll for
Okay, it's been,
whatever the date was, 2/5,
oh,
2/4,
2, 4.
2/6.
Has this been moved? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. We'll rush you through there. All right, item number 3 is accounts payable. From the 9th.
I had a question. There was a check cut to R and K Excavating for $277.50 for tube work.
Yeah, so that was probably my, so they come up and there's a dirt road out there that had a lot of brush in front of it, not a lot, but some. And they were expecting it to rain that day, and it was kind of washed around the tube a little bit, so they thought it'd be best to get it out of there. And they had the excavator down there already, so our thought was it only take a half hour or so to do it. Rather than hauling ours clear out there and taking time, just let him do it, but I didn't expect it to be quite that much. Expected more like $100 or $150 or something.
Yeah.
You might have a minute.
But the excavator was sitting at the site when we got there, so whether they originally thought it was a township tube, and then they decided it was a county tube, because it's a 5 and 8 foot tube. So, I don't know. But,
So they talked to you about it.
yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not looking at it,
All right.
but,
Obviously, you made the decision that
Yeah.
instead of moving an excavator, I understand.
but I'm not sure it was the right decision, but,
Well, I guess next time, then the question I would ask is, can you give us a price to do that? And if the price is too high, then we'll have our own guys do it, so unfortunately, but I just thought it was an odd invoice to see since.
yeah, so I was wondering how it was billed. That is, can you tell me that, Tammy? Did you see the bill they were submitted? Was it just for a certain number of hours, or was it for,
Like Lucas was saying, a lot of contractors have a minimum also.
okay, but we thought since the thing was already sitting there right next to the,
So I wouldn't feel bad about it, like Richard said there, you made a decision, you thought it was the right one, but, you know. It's a little higher than you planned, but you learned something in your direction, and, $300, you'll eat up a lot of that, you're having our own meeting.
well, I figured if you throw it out there for near 20 miles and
Yeah, it's,
take an hour,
so that's one of those things you can file away too, because sometimes you don't call that number again.
well, yeah. And he was the one that reported that needed to be fixed, so it's kind of,
Okay,
it's
Tammy's looking for the bill, I believe.
but
Rolling through here, there was a. Here she comes.
You go for 1.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
Which is pretty reasonable to, I mean, most people are not gonna do anything for 1.5 hours.
No.
So,
Big machine. Big money.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that in. Okay, I found, here's mine now. This is on solid waste. And there's one to Bank of America.
That's, that's.
Okay. Okay. That was a big one.
A big one?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you knew the answer instantly. Is it normally listed like that?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, all right, we're in good shape. Thank you for that. That's the only question I had. Anything else?
So the JJCR had utilities, they had 800 some to the Masons, and they had another one to Evergy for 109. Is that normal?
yeah, we've talked about that before. They split that. We're talking about the corner building over here, correct?
Do that. Whatever they submit, it's their in and out, just write a check.
Right, but that was, it's strange, you had utilities plus the Evergy cost. And then in the jail, there was timekeeping systems had a pipe repair, what kind of? I'm sure you don't know what kind of pipe that would be. It said,
Do you have a number?
I didn't write that down.
It was some kind of repair for it though.
Yeah, it was a pipe repair. What it said. $125 wasn't a big deal, but I didn't know what kind of timekeeping systems they had.
No, I think for the officers, they were doing a thing, maybe in the dispatcher and the, I thought that one.
All right. Anything else? Okay, let you good, Chad?
Yeah.
All right, there's no other questions. Is there a motion to approve accounts payable from February 9th?
I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable from 2/9/26.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carried. Okay, next thing on our list, we got a 1:30, and we're not quite there yet, but Mr. Benz, is that right?
Yeah.
Would you want to come on up?
Yeah, appreciate it.
And we'll get started at 1:30, but you can make your way up here. So we've got people that watch us online, and we just got to stick to this agenda. And now it's 1:30, so we're in great shape.
Well, I brought copies of the proposal for each of you here.
Okay,
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the county about pavement preservation, so you said I can go ahead and start then.
certainly.
Okay, cool. So, with Tammy's help, we were able to identify some areas where we need help the county when it comes to pavement preservation.
Would you like to sit?
Yeah, sure.
Stay.
So,
Totally up to you.
a little bit about ProSeal. We are a contractor. We are a turnkey organization, so a proposal like this would require no labor on the county's part. It'd be completely turnkey. So in most cases, I find pavement preservation to be more reactive than proactive. The cost of asphalt, the cost of chip seal in today's day and age is rising and getting a little harder for counties to swallow when it comes to putting down new roads. Pavement preservation is all about making the roads last longer, right? So that's what we're all about. I feel like most pavement preservation companies they see are looking to get you to spend your good money on your bad roads. So they're out looking for roads that are a little farther on in the disrepair area, so they can look at doing some pavement preservation at that point. So we're a little bit different. We're looking for roads that are still early in their life that are in good condition. So by catching roads early in their life, what we have is when roads start to deteriorate, when we see asphalt, and we've all seen asphalt roads and chip seal roads, and we drive them over, they're cracked or they're coming apart, we start to see potholes and things like that. The main culprit for that is the maltine loss. What we're losing in that pavement is within the oil is only 6% of the mixture is oil. That's the glue holding it all together. So when we lose the maltine specifically, and there's a page in there that explains what reclamite is and the science behind it. It explains that maltine loss is the biggest culprit for cracking and the premature aging of roads. By hitting them early with reclamite, so reclamite is an exclusive product you're a distributor of. By hitting the road with reclamite early, we're replacing those maltines and those light oils in the road, thereby slowing down the aging process, keeping the road in good condition for a longer period of time and adding years to the life of that road. So just like the pavement chart in there shows, and if we can catch them when they're either in the good or the very good or excellent stage, we're just seeing minimal surface cracking. We're not seeing the road starting to come apart. We can reverse that aging process by treating the road with this special oil. It penetrates into the pavement. So rather than putting a new layer over the top of the pavement, like you would do with a lot of other types of pavement preservation, we're actually treating the oil that already exists within the road. By treating that oil, we can slow down that aging process. One treatment on an asphalt road will add 5 to 7 years to that road. On a chip seal road, like which we've identified in 240th, running from town here out to Willow Road, it's about a 10-mile stretch of chip seal there that still could really benefit from a treatment of reclamite.
When you say benefit, how many years?
So with a chip seal, it kind of depends on how early you catch it. The earlier the life of the road, if you catch it early in the first 1 to 2 years of the life of the road, you'll double the life of that chip seal. I can't remember how old this road is. I'll look into that, but it'll add a good 2 or 3 years, if not longer, to the life of that road. And so when you oil the road, it is an emulsion that we put down. It's a special oil, and once that water evaporates, then we also hit it with a fine layer of sand. We sand the road over with a real fine -50 angular sand. About 20% of that sand gets absorbed into the top layer of the pavement, so it seals the top of the roadway. The rest of the sand absorbs any excess oil. We come back and sweep that oil. We'll sweep up that sand when we're done. You're left with a road that's sealed, smooth, and sheds water.
How's it handle the cracks that come back?
So I'm sorry.
So the cracks that come back right after the chip seal.
It should prevent the cracks from coming back. So there's going to be some cracking. I've looked at this road. There are cracks that already exist. So crack sealing is still a major partner with Reclamite, and that's something that we also do as a contractor as a team with our Reclamite product as well. So, but it will prevent future cracks from forming.
Do you have agencies you work for in our area? And when I say our area, surrounding counties?
Yeah, I mean, not so much on the county level around in this area, except for Lancaster County, Nebraska. That's probably the closest county to here that we worked in recently. We do a lot of work for Lincoln and Lancaster County, but we've done work in towns around like Tonganoxie, Carbondale, done a lot of work in Tonganoxie because my boss and the public works director know each other for a long time. Bonner Springs, we've done plenty of work in Bonner Springs, just some kind of spotty areas around up here, which is you're trying to, help out the counties and the towns in the area to
So
identify roads.
your price for that, I believe it's 10 or 12 mile stretch. I saw it was a lump sum price. He broke it down. There's some sweeping, a move in,
Sure,
those kind of things. Is that price affected by the number of miles we do?
correct, yes. So the more square yardage in the project, the lower the price. So I think he was at 98 cents a square yard on the oil, in this particular case. That can fluctuate anywhere from just under $1 to $1.20. Depending on the size of the project.
So where do you bring your product in from?
Are you familiar with Ergon Oil?
No.
They're one of the larger oil distributors in the US, and we are an Ergon distributor, so it's an Ergon Oil, Ergon.
Okay, so you bring it to site. That's not, you're
Right,
not,
yes. Yes, sir.
yeah, it looks like you're at 98 cents.
Yeah, 98 cents a square yard. So, yeah, that's kind of on the lower end of what he charges, because that is a large project, because that is a 10+ mile stretch, as you said. So maybe investment on the county's part to do that chip seal, and it would be another big investment to do for another chip seal. And then we can stretch it out a few more years and get more years out of it. But it saves money, so.
So do you have a list of places you work that we could go talk with?
I can
Public Works
certainly-
directors or anybody like
Yeah, I'd
that?
be happy to provide a list.
So when I hear stuff like this, obviously, nothing against you, but
Oh, yeah.
you're selling a product, so
Absolutely.
we should believe half of everything you say, right?
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, you believe in your product and everything you're saying sounds interesting, but what we have to do is we have to look at where it's been applied,
Of course,
how it reacts to weather, what kind of roads it was put on.
understand.
I think you've talked to Tammy about, we're trying all sorts of different, going down a bunch of different avenues to look at different products and see what's going on, because chip and seal isn't just the end all for us.
Sure, absolutely.
So we appreciate you guys quoting us, and we appreciate you talking to us. If you could get us a list of some people we could go with. I have no problem just driving and talking and
Yeah.
checking out where you've done it and how it's lasting and what the agencies think of it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to provide a list of references for you, so people with some contact you can get with, and we'd be happy to do that for you, so appreciate your time. Any other questions I can answer?
What's the surface of the road look like? You said smooth after you're done. We define smooth.
So this. In a typical, when you see an asphalt road, especially when it's got a few years of age on it. The aggregates kind of start to stick out a little bit, you get lots of pits and grooves in the top layer of it. So after we oil it, we sand it, you're driving on that for about 24 hours, you're driving on that sand for about 24 to 48 hours, depending on how high traffic the road is. And then we come back and sweep that up, and that sand really fills in all those pits and grooves. And that's what seals the top layer of the pavement, which allows keeps water from getting in, water and air. Because once water gets into the pavement, that's really when it starts to accelerate the oxidation process and the deterioration process. So I've got some cores out in my car. I'd be happy to bring it.
So
and
the
show you.
sand and the oil mixed together, that's your sealant.
Yes, sir.
Basically a slurry.
Kind of, but it doesn't, slurry is a pre-mixed mixture of asphalt and other property. This is just the light, and this isn't even like when you see dark oil, you picture a dark oil. These are the light into oils. So specifically the maltings that we're losing in the road are the light into oils, part of the light into oils, like it explains on that page you're looking at there. So that's all it is, it's a light into oil. So it's actually a clear oil. So we put a red dye in it. So that way it sprays out pink, so we can tell exactly where it's trapped and everything like that. So yeah, and then the sand adheres to that oil as it dries and gives you that top. It doesn't add a top layer, but it fills in the pits and the grooves of that.
So
top
this will
layer.
take out small imperfections.
Correct, yes, it's not gonna fill cracks or anything like that, real legitimate cracks, but yeah, small pits and things in the grooves and top layer.
The cracks, like the cracks will, after this process, if they're a minor crack, what do you want to say? A big crack, we got 4 inch, will that seal it, and will that stretch and shrink and stay sealed?
We still recommend crack sealing as part of
So
it.
yeah, I was gonna say, your recommendation would be prior to you guys applying it, that we actually do a
You can
crack.
do it prior or you can do it after. You can do it prior all the way up to the day of the treatment, or if you're gonna do it after, we say wait 60 days. for everything to fully cure before you.
A lot of these roads, when you look at them, just walk over the top of them. I say they're not exactly spider web tracks, but there's a lot of. I mean, there's
Fractures.
here,
Yeah,
there,
once we
there.
get to that point, that road's too far gone. That
That's-
reclamite's not gonna help, yeah. So the key to reclamite is to catch the road early in its life. If you can catch it before it's cracked at all, you're gonna get the best results.
So,
You're gonna-
so in my experience, watching these roads throughout the years, when the county comes back and chips over them with the oil, that's what they're laying, that new layer of oil and rock.
Yeah,
So
smash
that-
that rocket there.
That thing's still there.
Mhm.
So even if the surface looks good on a recently done, your product,
It will help. We won't completely eliminate those cracks from coming through, but it will make a big difference. Doing like a scrub seal in between, but like if you do a scrub seal before you do your chip seal, that'll really keep those cracks from coming through. But most agencies don't want to spend money to do that, so. Which I understand, it's all an expensive process.
so. Does your product, say, we just did a road up by Sabetha, 270 Street, east of Sabetha. And it's got 2 inches of asphalt laid in. So, and they call for certain, we backed them down to 2 to try and save some money.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
So a product like yours. Would that fit that particular scenario? Say if we wait 5 or 6 years or whatever and come back?
Depends on the condition after that 5 or 6 years, because really, that's ultimately 1 to 5 years is the ideal time to get an asphalt road.
Okay.
But I don't wanna overpromise and underdeliver and say in 5 years that road's gonna be in good condition to spray it. It probably will be, but we would wanna do a pavement evaluation at that time, assess the current condition of that road. But most likely, yes, it will, and it'll add many years to the life of that.
So your company, they also do crack sealing as well?
Correct. He doesn't do it as a standalone service, but as in partnership with Reclamite, we'll do all this.
So do you sub that out then?
No, we do it all ourselves. We have all our improvement. We've been doing this for over 20 years.
Do you offer any other paving services, I guess?
We have a consumable that we sell that's it's called CRF, crack repair filler. It's a 250-gallon toilet with a similar oil, but with a little bit of asphalt in it
Okay,
for smaller towns and around, shouldn't be small enough for towns of any size and counties, things like that. Use it for a number of different uses, so tap oil, those alligator areas that we talked about, you can spray those areas down and it'll kind of hold it all together until you do have the time to go over it and rebuild it, so it does a number of things.
So would you say that you guys do the majority of this work on chip and sealed surfaces?
It's about 50-50 between chip and seal and asphalt.
Do you notice on the chip and seal, the existing chip and seal roads that you're working on, have they been fog sealed after they chip and seal?
Sometimes, yeah, we do run across that, and we do treat those sometimes, yeah. We're starting to see a lot of people are using this more as an alternative to a fog seal, because a fog seal is really just more or less a Band-Aid over the top, it'll add a couple years to your chip seal, but by treating the oil itself within the road, you'll get longer, better performance out of it. But yes, very much so, we treat those roads, and we do core testing, so that's how we really, because we're not putting a new layer over or surface over the top of the road, so there's nothing to see when you're going to walk away. So it's pretty much the same. We do core testing, so we come in before we do a job and we pull a core. And then we come in about 6 months after a treatment, we pull another core, we send those off to a lab. It breaks down the oil from the rock using toluene, and they're able to test the oil and tell us how well it penetrated into the pavement. They're able to tell us how well it increased the viscosity of the road, which is the goal we're trying to achieve. And at that time, they'll give us a time frame on, you added X amount of years to the life of that road based on how well it penetrated that particular surface.
Is that a service that you do on all, like, so if we were to do this stretch, that service would be performed and that information would be given back?
Yes, unless it's a really small project, like under 50,000 square yards. On smaller projects, he usually doesn't run a project like this, yes, absolutely, we probably do a couple of sets of cores. In a case like this, and then we come back and we have a lunch and learn meeting where we sit down with y'all and buy you lunch, and we provide those core results and let you know how everything went. And in fact, our highest results we've ever got back on core testing came back on a chip and seal. So chip seals, open grade construction really takes the oil really well.
So I just have 2 more focus or, so ambient temperature, what do you,
45 degrees and rising.
and rising?
Yeah,
Okay.
so generally late April into sometime in November, depending on the weather.
Okay, what about the rain in the forecast?
He's very flexible. He's always watching, we have to have a certain if it's over a certain percentage chance of rain, he will reschedule everything. Yeah, we gotta have dry weather.
So what's your return to traffic?
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very minimal. So the process of oiling the road takes, especially if the weather is warm and dry, an hour, maybe sometimes less than an hour, and we sand the road and then you're driving.
Are you doing one lane at a time? then?
Yes, yeah, if it's a county road type of a setting, we have a flagger, or we want lane in it. And he can get 3-4 miles done in a day on a county road.
So when I ride that road, 240th east of town here, there's a lot of imperfections, a lot of up and down variability. Okay, so we've got some hot mix. I don't really speak the language, so you just try to interpret what I'm saying. We got some stuff that's patched in, it's a little bouncy. We've got some bridges that you're hitting pretty hard where the pavement's higher, the bridge is lower. Is your product, is there anything that'll help that? Is there anything you won't put your product on because it won't work on?
Yeah, certainly. When it comes to, that's why we do pavement evaluations. If we determine that a pavement's not gonna benefit from the treatment, he's not gonna do it. If you knew Chris, he's been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate, this is one of the reasons why I work for him, is because I appreciate how seriously he takes it, how, he treats it as if he's on a township board himself. He treats every project as if it was his own project for his own town or his own city. And so he's not gonna treat a road that doesn't qualify. If we see too many failed spots and things like that, the road we typically want to quote that road. So as far as those other issues you're talking about, no, not really.
You just
we're-
spray over.
Yeah, we're
You're-
treating what's good.
Your product's not a leveling agent at all.
Correct, yeah.
It's a preservation.
Yeah, it's not gonna resurrect anything or fix anything. It's purely preservation. Now, that being said, like when those patch areas you're talking about where they put down old mix and things like that, it will help all that oil, everything that has oil in it will help that oil. It will help treat that oil and restore the multiples of that oil.
And that was 10 miles or 12 miles?
I think it's about 10.5 miles if I remember right, but it's been a few weeks since I was here looking at it.
So and then how long will this last?
Well, it depends on the road. Every road takes it a little bit differently. So on a chip and seal road, if we catch it early in the life, it'll pretty much double the life of a chip and seal road, which is. You'll add 4 or 5 years to it. In the case like in this road, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't add anywhere from 2 to 4 years to the scheduled life of that road. Really, well, we really know that when we get the pool results back. That's when the rubber meets the road, or the oil meets the road, should I say.
I guess are these for us?
Yes, absolutely.
So we're looking about 17,000 per mile.
Yeah,
Maximum.
yeah. Sounds about right. And it varies anywhere from 15 to 18, so.
So we've been scheduling, we're not gonna do on chip seal roads this year for budget reasons.
Sure.
But we've been on a 3-year rotation. That's what the county's been doing. So your product will take it. It'll just extend it basically another side.
Yes,
Essentially,
exactly.
3 years out, but so. I mean, there's a savings. There would be a savings or just mathematically. Okay, all right.
And I always encourage people, I like using AI to, just to say, hey, don't take it from me. Compare Reclamite to chip seal or other products and things like that, other types of surface sealers and things like that. Even AI great results about Reclamite forever. Reclamite's been around since 1960. This is not a new product, but it is a very effective
Walk that
product.
back a little bit. You said AI.
Yeah,
So is that Grok or is it Google?
I don't remember which one my boss used. I think I used Perplexity, but I just like to get, I know what my boss has taught me. I know what I've learned from other experts. Let's see what the internet has to say, and so I found a lot of good information on Reclamite on the product. It's very well endorsed even by artificial intelligence, so as being a very good way to clear your paint, very effective and inexpensive way to clear your paint.
Okay, wonderful.
You have a card?
I do, yeah.
So the sand is put on action for most
No, I think so.
Correct.
right?
Correct, that is correct. So as soon as that emulsion breaks, that's when it gets with the sand.
So you have to mix a little Portland cement with this starter when you put it down, right?
Nope.
How you get it to break?
I thought,
All right.
I thought you
So how do you get it to break?
Exactly.
So
There's no Portland.
I do have a question.
That'd be a question for my boss, probably, he's been laying this for 20 years.
Hey, Sean.
I'll be frank, I'm in my second year.
Well, I mean, when you're putting it down, are they mixing Portland cement?
Hey, Sean.
Yes,
I do have a question.
yes, sir.
It's not necessarily about your product, but when you make asphalt, you have rock and sand and oil, right?
Correct.
So when you chip and seal, if you put a little layer of sand like you're talking about over that when you're finished, would that help anything?
It's a good question. It might, I mean, they're in what, like in western Kansas, that's what they use. They only use sand. They don't even use rock, they sand seal. So, yeah, I'm sure a mixture would probably.
I mean, you talked about making it smoother and filling in the cracks.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so, good question. I want to ask Michael, honestly, not a question I've had before.
I said somebody and they said, no, that doesn't make sense, but I mean, when we made asphalt, we always put sand in with it to fill in the.
Right? Yeah, to fill in the gaps. No, absolutely. Well, I'll ask them about using sand like right at the get-go of laying down that chip and seal. Any other
I mean,
questions?
it'd be extra work, but
Yeah,
I don't
a
know.
little extra money, but sand's not that, right? So then they can fill it in, so.
So if you could just get Tammy's, a few places we
Yeah.
could talk to where
Sure.
you used your product.
Sure, we'll do.
Appreciate it.
Okay, well, for other information, thank you. Happy to, you got my card. If you ever have any other questions, so let me know.
So how far did you drive today?
I'm from Augusta, Kansas,
Augusta, so,
and then I've got a city council meeting in Lincoln, Kansas
Oh,
this evening, so
okay.
it's gonna be a lot of driving today.
well, we appreciate you coming by.
I appreciate the opportunity, yeah. Be happy to answer any questions I can answer. The guy I work for is the pavement master. I don't meet anybody that knows more about pavement than Chris, so that's why I work for him.
Right on.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you bet.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We have another. We have Dawn here, 2:00, so we got 10 minutes. We're just gonna keep rolling down the agenda. And easement on FAS 51 is where I'm at.
Well, I have this, I think we usually motion to approve the agreement and the dollar amount for the minutes.
Okay,
In the past, when we've had easements, that's what you're saying?
Yeah. We just proposed that. That was agreeable and was, beneficial.
page 54.
So Tammy, you're the one that, she's no longer here. She's the one that prepared it, but this is what we were talking about before, so.
And so, how did they come up with that price for this one?
Fraser, I think did
So it's a 4/4 of an acre, so they price it about $6 an acre.
that's where it started. That dollar. And that's something.
Yeah, I remember it being praised, so. So is there any questions or comments on this? Make a motion to approve it as presented then?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the FAS 51 permanent easement as presented.
Is there a second?
I'd second
Is there any more discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 it. Aye.
Okay, motion carried. That's done. Next, item number 5, the K-Work audited premium. And I see they made some changes and it went up a little bit. So any questions on this information as presented?
So on the last audit you guys went through, were you here during the last audit?
I've seen this.
You've seen that. So do they usually come in and kind of do like a debriefing on the audit, or do they just send paperwork?
It was in the numbers, just good estimate, and you want it all over what actually was paid out, payroll was.
So obviously this will be my first one this year when we go through it again, but just wondering if they give recommendations on what they see, like what we could be looking out for, they're just simply saying, this is audited, this is what we've seen, and here are the facts.
More overtime than we'd estimated the year before, I think, usually.
And if payroll costs increase, this
Right.
increases commensurately. So I think if memory serves, it was a bigger surprise last year at this time. So this,
Well, when I went through, there was things that went up and things that went down, correct? Overall,
Department.
yeah.
So I had a question on the court system across the street. I assume they divide it between 4 counties or 5 counties.
We have our own thing,
Well, the Christian
or,
or some there. On page 63, cause they just had like $13,000 and that's probably only a fifth of what they get paid or six, probably. But they cover a bunch of counties, so I figured it was probably divided between the number of counties they did.
So on the overtime, they're projecting based off of, I'm assuming like the previous 3 years, or they have some sort of a multiplier that they're using when they project overtime.
They sent us a spreadsheet and we're filled in with information.
Okay. Because, you know, that's another thing to bring up when we're questioning overtime. It's not that we're just questioning like why, but it also affects this, that if we can't forecast and kind of accurately know where overtime usually falls, if we start seeing spikes in that affects this as well.
Correct.
I went right, when I saw this originally, I went right to their audit notes and just kind of read, because that's what they're pointing out. So the audits I've been involved with, usually they'll come in and they'll sit, you know, kind of recommend or giving you some ideas. So I didn't know. It looks like basically this is what we're going to get from them, correct? Okay.
Okay, if there's any more questions? If not, is there a motion to approve it as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 audited premium.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 I,
Okay, motion carried. Now on that, Kay, so last year we did call and had them come visit, or at least online. You got some information about this because that leads into some. Well, there are a few things. Wasn't this the checklist of things we can do to make sure our premiums are as low as possible? And we are doing basically everything. There's a defensive driving class that we don't go through them, but the sheriff's department does it through their own company. So I mean, we're checking all the boxes really that we can check to keep the premium as low as possible. Okay, we still got 4 minutes. Let's just start taking a look at item number 6, which is the 2025 fixed asset.
My question on that, do we ever go back and kind of audit our fixed assets and say, is there a way to cleanse some of these fixed assets, if that makes sense to you guys?
Every year we send it to the department and just go through anything that doesn't fit under $500 of value, which you take it off. They mark it and put it back in the name.
Okay, so that is, are we getting a response from the department heads then? And the only reason I'm asking is I've looked at fixed asset sheets before and you realize there's stuff that's on those fixed assets that we don't need possibly, or, you know, it kind of highlights, we could get rid of some things that keep reoccurring year after year on your fixed assets. So I guess as we ask the department heads in the future to go back and look at the $500 amount, maybe we could just say, and are you noticing something that doesn't get used anymore? And this is the time to kind of make a decision on what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Sure. And then on the flip side of that, do we ever walk through? And I imagine every fixed asset, does it have a sticker on it? Doesn't. Do we ever walk through and see if these things are still there? That'd be a busy time.
Yeah.
We went through Road and Bridge and last year we checked off on everything that we saw. Okay, so this is what we got. This is as presented. Anyone else have any other questions?
so I have a couple of comments on District 3 stuff.
Uh-huh.
So you have a number 1511 is no, that's not it. 1518 is a air compressor. So I don't think they have that anymore because we bought a new one. about the same price, so it's an Ingersoll Rand instead of a Champion.
All right,
That resident said it was what, in 1980? They thought it maybe manufactured in 1964 or something, the old one, so, but that's
so just,
been replaced,
all right. What page are you on?
105.
Right,
So Bill, since that's out in Fairview, or do you want to verify that that's the case, or you're certain that is the case, is what you're saying?
That's what, yeah,
Okay.
and, number 1570 was our truck we bought a couple of years ago. It said, and it wasn't only the truck, but it also included a salt bed and a snow plow. So I don't know if that makes any difference or not, or if you just want to leave the truck on there.
Is it all?
It was all in one price,
and was that price right at 35,000?
yeah.
Okay, so. All right. Okay,
That's the only comments I had on it.
all right, so now on the air compressor, do we need to make that change?
I would think you need to update it, so, because it's a new one, that's not a, when it's 45 years old.
All right, so,
It came from Tractor Supply, not where it came from.
so we need to get that correct information in there. So can we approve this document with that change? With one connection, okay, and you'll provide me with the information?
Yeah.
Okay. That work?
Mhm.
All right, so then, I guess we'll need a motion then to approve the fixed assets with the one correction. Does anyone want to make that?
I knew we approved.
Okay.
Gretchen.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any aye? Aye. All right, motion carried, so it's 2:01. Don, you're up. Good catch, Greg.
I was surprised it was the same price.
What's the one last 15 years? Good luck. All right.
This is just an outline of what I'm talking about in case you want to make some notes as there's a whole. Nikki asked me to come and explain what an emergency manager does. So I kind of put this together. There was some confusion. I've talked to a couple of you about it. In the past, you asked how much of my time was spent doing emergency management and how much out there at the landfill. And I said about 10% was all that was emergency management. And that's why I'm giving that position up, was because that is not near enough time being devoted to that to do it justice. And I could have went on, I believe, for years and got by with that, but the program is failing because I'm not keeping it updated. And that's something I really believe in, and it needs to have somebody devoted to it that keeps that up to date. And I want to kind of go through what I do so that you understand what it is. Because all this stuff is behind the scenes, and you hope it never comes to light, because you don't want this stuff to happen. But when something happens, we are ready for it. And we'll kind of go through what it is. An example, the fire department, and I get this probably a couple times a year, they call and they want an airplane to come fight the fire. You know, and that's a common request now. But you just don't call and go, hey, I want an airplane. You've got to have people trained to know what to do when that airplane gets there. Okay, for one thing, the airplane that we get, there's several of them in Seneca. And during high fire danger, they are sitting there filled with water, ready to take off. Okay, the call is made from the fire department, and it has to go to an emergency manager, because the state knows they're the ones that's paying the bills at state, if it's done right. Okay, the state knows the emergency manager is not going to request it unless things are in the proper order for it to happen. Okay, I just want to picture this to you. let's say the fire department called the airplane and the airplane takes off and gets there. Well, where do you want me to come? You know, we go, well, north of 6 Mile corner. That means nothing. They want it latitude and longitude. A lot of people don't know how to get that to tell the airplane where to go. Once it gets there, that airplane wants to know, what part of this fire do you want me to drop it on? Say it's covering 2 square miles. No, the fire department knows where it wants it, but that airplane pilot does not. Okay, so you need to talk to them on the radio to tell them what to happen. Well, what radio frequency do you use to talk to that pilot? You know, that hasn't been thought about, you know, by most firemen. That's all set up by the state. The pilots have the radios, we have the radios here, and we know what channel to use. Then we need to be able to talk their language. When that airplane gets there, you think, oh, they just dropped some water on it. Well, that's not true. A lot of them have 3 separate tanks on them. And do you want all that water in one great big gush coming down on that one spot where it just creates a belly washer? Or do you want it spread out over 100 yards? Or do you want one after another? Or they can drop one at a time and keep circling and drop those 3. How does that fireman want that done? You know, there's nothing worse than that pilot getting there in 10 minutes and nobody's ready for him. And the pilot will not drop it if there's firemen underneath of them, because it can kill firemen that much water at once. And we have access to even the big jetliners dropping water here, the federal ones, if we need it. So, and that can kill firemen. So we've got to have somebody down here coordinating, going, okay, the fire line's clear now. We want it on the heel of the fire. And after he drops it, the spotter that's down there talking to the pilot tells him, you know, you dropped that a little bit early, you got to hold off a little bit the next time. You know, talk back and forth to them. So that's just once, well, and then to go beyond that, that airplane got here so fast because we called for it. Now it needs to fill up. Well, it fills up at the local airport, whichever one's closest. We gotta have somebody standing by at that airport with the fire hoses ready to hook it up, to fill the airplane. Okay, that isn't thought about either. But all this stuff is planned, and that's why the emergency manager to get it going. That's one little simple thing. Weather disasters. We have pre-planning, during the event, and then post. We'll stop when the snow stops flying right down. Okay, and this requires extensive record keeping. And Nikki's been through some of this. Just last year, we had that snowstorm. And that was a very unusual one because usually they never allow for snow clearing. But this one they did because it was a record snowfall. And I had heard that one before, but we were ready for it. Okay, we have to know how many hours each driver spent, the exact equipment that they're using, and where they were at. And that all has to be documented every single day, what their wage was, everything else. Well, we've got all the townships here, we've got the county, the different departments. And the emergency manager is the one that gets in contact with all them. And you have to have all these people's contact information ahead of time. You can't wait till the snow flies to start going, well, who's Hiawatha Township, you know, maintenance person. You have to have all that ahead of time. And we did really good this last one, getting all that information. But it was very frustrating because when we have a disaster, you have to meet 2 different criteria. One of them is so much for the county. And for the county, you have to meet $38,982.80. You have to get over that threshold of damages before you qualify. Then in addition to that, the state has to meet their threshold, which is $2.9 million. You have to meet both of them before we can do it. This last one that we had last year, the county met it very easily. And the record keeping, I review all of it and I call them and go, no, you gotta get this beefed up in this area so that it'll meet FEMA standards. The county did great. We had over our threshold. The state did not meet theirs. So we got nothing. But it was a good practice, but it was very frustrating because those townships put in a lot of work. But you gotta keep up and keep all your records fresh. Red Cross, when we have especially house fires, usually if they're wanting the Red Cross involved, the Red Cross will take the call, but they will not dispatch anybody until the emergency manager has confirmed that it's a legitimate call, that it really happened. And I have always had my phone and my computer, and I have a hotspot that I take with me everywhere I go, even when I'm on vacation, because I want all this to work all the time. And it's surprising how many times the Red Cross is. Floodplain insurance, the county does participate in that. And I know I talked to all three of you. We have no building codes in this county, and I think that is a huge mistake. And I think we're paying for it. One thing is flood insurance. We have to ensure the federal government that we are not allowing building to happen in floodplains. Because if you build right down beside the creek and it floods, that's a disaster that has to be cleaned up and reimbursed. And we are agreeing not to let stuff happen there. We have no building codes. We don't tell somebody we have to ask permission. I have all the training to make with the digital maps from the federal government to tell exactly where the floodplains are and where it goes up to. And I have seen some buildings that have shown up. I don't know when they were built, but they're real recent that are in the floodplain. And they're in violation of that. But we have no way of, knowing what's happening if we don't require a building permit. So, I don't know if the government ever will come in and do an audit on us, but I'm kind of worried about that. Okay, and then another duty of mine is to be the floodplain administrator. And I do have people that come and ask for, where's the floodplain? And will you let me build this in this area? And a big example of that is the railroad asked to put in and replace bridges. And it's in a floodplain, of course. Well, yeah, I do the paperwork for that, and the state does it too, and they get their permit. We've had some others, like Evergy is putting in new poles. They need to reshape the intersection or something. They get a floodplain permit. The county road and bridge here, they've got some permits. So there are people that are asking for that. But you have to know, that's another responsibility. I've responded to several accidents, especially out here on Highway 75, where we have the semi wrecks. There was one on 290 down here where we had a gas tanker that rolled over on its side and it ended up straddling the creek. So you have to be prepared for that stuff, and you get called out all hours in the morning and night for that. And you know what to do. If that tanker's leaking and it's full of gasoline, which it was, you need to get bulldozers and get that dammed up. You can't let that go on down the creek, because then you're gonna have it, 100 miles south of here. It's not uncommon to respond to chemical spills, and the biggest one that I have is anhydrous ammonia, usually a tank that's leaking. And it's not a big deal, but here's the tank, who do you call? The dispatcher at the sheriff's office, they don't have all the answers all the time, and it's my job to keep up to date on that. I know all the major fillers here, where they're at. If they have a big tank that leaks, they're required to give me a plan that shows if this big tank erupts, how big an area do we need to evacuate, no matter which direction the wind's blowing. I have all that stuff on my computer that's in my truck, and know it within minutes what the answer is. And I just don't have the time to devote to this stuff to keep it up to date. It's what's going on. In my opinion, the railroad is our biggest risk in this county, because we have so much rail traffic going through this county. And we've had 2 derailments in the last 3 years. And the one was up there at Reserve, that was the biggest one. And that had a water source that was within a mile of it, so we were worried about that. We had 2 cars that were ruptured with liquid. So that was taken care of, but I still think that's our biggest risk, is dealing with them. We have computer programs on our computers that any train that goes by, I can look at the number on that car, put it into my computer, and it will tell me what's in that car, where it came from, where it's going, how much the chemical is, all the safety data about it. And it will tell me what's in every car on that train and what order the cars are on it. So if if it's a 6-car back that is ruptured and you can't get close enough to get a placard off of it, you know that that's what's in that car and you can deal with it. But you have to have training to know how to do that. The pandemic, whether you believe in what happened or not, it did happen, and the way it was handled was the way it was set up, and the emergency manager pretty much became the boss of the county at that time. Every medical supply, every doctor, hospital, nursing home had to go through the emergency management to get any medical supplies at all. And I was getting semis coming into town with stuff and unloading them. The school let me use their warehouse. And we were handing out cases and pallets of medical supplies to the hospital. And that kind of stuff. You have to have, where are we gonna set up all this stuff? That was all set up ahead of time. We knew where we could go to get help to do that. Maple Heights, I'm gonna use them for an example. Richard, one of you guys asked, there's a storm coming in, the last one. Did I have anything lined up for how are we gonna handle this, warming centers, that kind of thing? And that made me realize that you guys don't realize what we do. And just to show you, I'm gonna use Maple Heights Nursing Home out here for an example. We go to those, and I met with the administration at the nursing home, and I go so far as to go out to their electric panel, and we go, okay, how is your power coming into your building? Do you have a backup generator? If you do, what size is it? What kind of fuel is it? And they don't have one. So I go, okay, you're out of power. How are we going to get power into you within hours of it going down? And we got that set up. We know here's where it comes in. This is the size of the feeder wires that are going in. Here's how we're going to cut them. Here's what you need to clamp it in. Here's the size of generator, and that will come on a flatbed semi-trailer. And here's where it's going to park and hook up, and what kind of fuel it uses. That's all set up, and I have that for every facility that's in this county. So we go so far as to do that, and then you got to keep that updated. Who's their maintenance guy, the administrator, and all that. So we do a lot of work. Nursing home in Horton, we actually had to take them a generator. The county's got 2 good sized ones, and one of them was big enough to handle that nursing home there. So I did that. I believe that was 2020 in that ice swamp that they got. So all this stuff, and it's good. It happens behind the scenes, so you don't see it, and that's what we wanted. But there's a lot being done. And I guess the last thing on this list is the pipeline. We have lots and lots of pipelines going through this town. You don't know it, but they're there. And once you get a certain amount of training as an emergency manager, they give you access. The more you get, the more access you get to their records. And I've got it to where I can see every pipeline that's in the county, and it will tell me how big that pipeline is, what's in it, how much pressure it is, and who to call if something happens to it. And it shows you there might be 3 pipelines side by side, and they may be owned by separate companies, but you have the contact information for each one of them. And what's in it, and then you know how to treat for it. So that there's a lot that goes into that job. And like I said, I think I could have went on for a few more years, but things are not keeping updated as to administration changes at some of these facilities, and I don't want that to happen. I guess another thing is once we have a flood, we've been really fortunate in the future or in the past, no recent floods. When that happens, emergency management is responsible to get out there and document the damage. And we have software programs on our computers, and we get training on how to go out there and go around this house, and you go, okay, this house is 40% destroyed. You know, and then at 50%, something happens special. We've got training on how to use the drones with their software programs to do assessments. If that's gotta all be used, and it takes training to get it done.
Don,
Does that help?
do you view, yeah, no, it helps me. I know these guys have their own questions, but do you view a job like this as a full-time job? Meaning, if you have an emergency manager, there's obviously a lot of things, a lot of training and a lot of updating, and when we have a problem, it's 24 hours a day, it sounds like. But there's a lot of time when things are going pretty well that there's downtime. Do other counties view this as a full-time position, or do they often have their emergency manager also has something part-time that they also do for that agency that keeps them busy?
Okay, there's two ways to view this, and counties do it both ways. One is how much protection do you want? And it's kind of like insurance policies. You know, insurance, if you have full coverage, you're paying a lot more. Okay, but you know you're not gonna lose now. If you cut your insurance down to half, you know, just have liability, you know, you're taking that chance. Where do you feel comfortable with that chance? I can guarantee you that I was keeping busy full time doing it. I was bored because it's not the kind of work I'd like to do, but I kept busy and never could I say, I don't have nothing to do today. Because there's always something, and the training is unlimited. You know, there's so much online stuff now, and it makes me a better person going to all that training. And I feel the county benefits from it, and getting to know like the city administrator here in Hiawatha and Horton, you get a working relationship with them. You know, and everything goes a lot smoother when you know somebody face to face. So I believe it should be full-time. And it was part-time before I came. And what happens, I'm just gonna use deputies for an example. The deputies work part-time law enforcement and part-time this. But when they get a call, you know, that's important. They need to go to it. And this gets put off to the side. It's just like I've been for the last 6 months. You know, I'm so busy out there at the landfill, I've been putting the emergency management stuff off to the side. And I don't want to see that go down low, because it's in good shape right now. So it goes both ways.
Okay.
I don't have any question, so, I mean, I'm glad you laid that out. One of the things I wanted to talk about was basically the position description, and that's what you did here. You missed, the only thing I could think of was the active shooter training at the courthouse. That's something you were involved in. I didn't make your list.
Okay,
I just wrote that down.
okay,
And I had the warm weather centers. That was me that called you.
okay.
But I couldn't think of any other things other than those two. But that's good. Did you have anything, Bill?
No.
And there's other counties like that big soccer thing that's going on in Kansas City area. You know, that is a worldwide huge thing. And they ask for emergency managers from the whole state to come in and help with that. You know, and that's how you get to working together, and you use your equipment a whole bunch more, like the tracking. The one thing I tried to get through, but I've got reluctance from the fire departments, is when there's big fires, they need to know how many personnel are in there and how many trucks. And the ideal thing is when a truck gets there, you go, okay, it's Hiawatha truck number 3, and they've got 4 people on it. Okay, if there's an explosion or something, we need to evacuate them back out of there. We can account for everybody. And, you know, we practice that, you know, even in our meetings, we use that same software to check people in and out.
So does the emergency manager usually go to all the fires then?
I only go if I'm asked to, because there's a lot of people that don't want me there. You know, they kind of feel like it's big brother watching. And I'm not a firefighter. I don't know how to fight a fire. I just want to be there to get supplies to them if they need it. You know, I got a big fire in Nemah County, I took them a pallet of water. You know, that's the kind of help I want to be.
A lot of the stuff you mentioned was in your computer and software.
Yes.
Is that something that's ready to go to, when
Yes.
you're done, you're ready to hand it off? Is there any sort of, what is the training level, just to be familiar with what you got in there?
And that takes. I bet 2 years before somebody can learn all that. There's a lot to it.
What is it laid out where a new person can at least open it up and kind of have an idea of what's going on there?
With some training,
With some training?
yeah, it's all right there on the computer, everything is there. It's just, well, how do I use this? A complicated thing is, how do you make the name badges that we all have?
Yeah.
You know, that it's complicated and it takes time to learn that.
Are you enrolled in any like automatic or recurring type subscriptions or services for anything in emergency management that goes through your computer? You know, with the passwords and all that. I mean, I confess, I've never handed a computer that I was using to the next person, expecting them to just to take it and run. You know, I know all my passwords and all that stuff. The new person won't.
Okay, and with the state, almost all these programs are state. They
Okay,
will not allow my name and username and password to go to another person.
okay,
But, you know, I will use that with them to get them started.
okay,
And, but they're gonna have to apply and get
right,
their own
okay.
and take the training to qualify.
So when you did this, when you started, I mean, you had to start from nothing. So is there a little handbook in your office? Do you have any sort of cheat sheet to help?
What you do is there's a mentor with the state,
Oh, okay,
KDA. Emergency management,
okay,
and he is really good, and he comes out, he tries to come out and see us twice a year, and we go see him. He's always at the meetings with us.
well, that's helpful. So there's a
Yeah.
mentor program in the state.
Yeah, and every emergency manager is really wanting to help everybody that's around them. And you need to, because we work together. You know, I'll go have meetings or go training over in Nemah County, and he's a really good one. And he'll do everything he can to help. I know that Atchison and Donovan County just lost theirs recently.
Okay.
You know how long the state's mandated emergency managers? Was this 20 years ago, 10 years ago?
I think. Been quite a while.
I mean, if it was something that happened after 9/11, or if it was something that happened after COVID,
Oh, and it was way before COVID.
okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
appreciate you listing these things down and talking to us.
Okay.
Right.
All right, any questions, just let me know.
like the anhydrous, do they report to you annually? Then with their,
Okay,
with their plan?
another thing that they do is, every business that has so many gallons of things, and they have it ranked by different, how dangerous it is to people.
Uh-huh.
They're required to report to the state and to the emergency manager. It's called tier 2 reporting.
Okay,
Okay, and they're required to send that to me. I keep those on file. They're in my computer.
yeah,
And I got my address, and it will tell me that Ag Partners has 4 different filling
Sure.
stations. And they've got this much chemical in this building. And, you know, and it will tell me, don't use fire or water on this fire. If you go into this building, we have that stuff.
so it's reported to the state and then the state sends it to
You
you,
know, they're required to send it to both.
well, they send it to both.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I asked, because I wanted to make sure. Okay.
Even the gas stations, they report how many gallons of gas they can.
Okay.
So if they have an anhydrous tank that rolls over, you get called out on that, or is it just, they clean it up on their own?
It's up to the reporting party. The sheriff's office usually does something. You go out. And it doesn't matter if it's Ag Partners or Morrow. You call either one of them and they'll both be right there to help. They're super people. But it's because we all work together quite often. They don't care whose equipment it is. They just want to make sure nobody gets hurt.
This is nasty stuff. Okay, any more questions? We're coming up on 2:30 here. Good shape. Thanks for putting that
Okay.
together.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
we needed to do shares into work program here.
Is that right?
We do. Yeah, we
I don't.
need Bill. He can run into work.
Get the previous ditch.
There's more up there
And then
too.
you get-
Run out.
we'll dig it later.
We got like 2 minutes, 1 minute. Nikki, is something on your mind? No? Okay. Okay. Hi there.
Hello, Lucas.
We've got, in 1 minute, if you want to just make your way up here, that's fine. Hi, Barb.
Hopefully I can make it up there in the next minute.
Well, so we'll,
Thank you very much.
you bet, we can exchange pleasantries here until the clock rolls over.
Okay,
I get in trouble if I start early. How are you?
good. So, how are
Nice to see
you?
you.
Yeah,
Good.
good seeing you too. Well,
You're here to listen? Okay.
You don't want to be biased, Barb?
Oh, I.
All right.
It's fine.
Might take her more than a minute, oh.
All right. Did you have a pleasant drive up here?
well, I wish we were having a meeting out
No
there.
kidding. Yeah, windows down today.
Pretty
I'll just
unusual.
pass this over.
We gotta set a record today.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention. There's still snow in the road ditches in places, but we're 2:30 now, so
All right.
let's roll.
Okay, Greg Watkins, One Digital, been your employee benefit consultant for, I guess, about 4 years now. I've got some information I want to review with you. Just want to visit, talk, plan. Fair enough?
Is this the
Good.
same as what we have on our screen? Yes, okay. I'm
That's-
Nick?
I'm paying attention. It's, I was looking for this on here. We were down in the
You got it on
AP.
your screen, that's even better.
Okay,
But just to remind you, we're self-funded, we've been self-funded with Blue Cross Blue Shield for 2 years now. I know there's some talks about, and we've talked over the years about, really turning over every rock possible to make sure that we've got the best situation for county and for the employees. There is some information here that I'd like to review. Some of it's gonna be, review. Maybe some of it not, but I think what you'll find is every time you get together, hopefully there's some opportunities for me to learn about what your objectives are and for us to maybe share some insight on what we see going on in the market. With your plan being a self-funded plan, there's a column here that says total payments applied to the aggregate stop loss level. It's the second column from the right. You guys see that? Okay, that shows what the claims were for the county employees below the stop loss level of 50,000. So whenever we have a claim below the liability is on the right hand side there. That's 909. You guys see that? The aggregate attachment point is 909. We actually ended the year at 748,000. I'd say ended the year so far. So we actually had about $150,000 surplus. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So claims compared to liability, we always want there to be a surplus. There's not always a surplus, but this year there was a surplus. That's a very positive thing. That first year, we actually had a deficit. We had, if you see the liability there at 759,000. We had 759,000 in claims, plus another $93,000 in claims, which is that column next to it. So a total of roughly about 830,000 in claims. And then on top of that, we had another, if you look over to the left there, there's a column that says payments above the specific limit. You guys see that?
Mhm.
We had $255,000 in claims above the 50,000. So last year, from 2024, for the planned year, we had $1.1 million in claims. Oh, and of those, 255,000 were above the stop loss level. So fair to say that Blue Cross paid a lot of claims and we're in a deficit that year. What happens is we turn around the next year, well, we had about the same amount of claims, but compared to liability, we weren't firm. So I think a better situation in the most recent year. If you flip over to the next page,
Between those two plan years, was there a difference in number of participants?
Not really. No, that's a good question, not really. I mean, we've been really stable. Mark, Nikki, pretty stable number of employees, would you say?
The last quarter last year, we only did 5,000.
You said the year so far too, for 20.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So, yes, sir. Yeah, the year, this year so far, we've had $24,000 in claim. We had a good first month.
Excuse me, I'll rephrase my question. So in the year
Yeah.
2025, I
Yes, sir.
believe you said the year so far.
Yeah.
So there's still some outstanding.
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that question. What happens is, with this contract, it's what's called an incurred contract.
Okay,
So what that means is all the claims that are incurred in that year, whether it's for a large claim above the stop loss level, or for a claim below the stop loss level. Any claim that's incurred in that year, regardless of when it's paid, it's applied to that year. It's
okay,
applied to that year. Now, a lot of self-funded plans, they don't work that way. A lot of it has to be paid by the end of the year in order to meet your stop loss.
Does that have to do with, when the explanation of benefits comes back?
It has to do with when the claim is incurred.
Incurred.
So it's not really when it comes back,
Okay.
it's when the claim is incurred. And when I say incurred, let me just clarify that. What that means is when I go see the doctor, or when I see the hospital, or I see the pharmacy, that would be when the claim is incurred.
okay. So can you say with any confidence in like 2024, is that all closed out?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are hard enough.
Yeah.
But 2021,
That's a good question. Yeah, they're all closed.
okay,
They're-
2025
yeah.
still open.
Yeah, and we'd probably be open for, I mean, there's about 95% of the claims are paid within 2 months.
Okay.
So there's a reserve, so, but Blue Cross has been paying them for quick. So we shouldn't have much, I mean, we're gonna have probably another at least $50,000 in claim.
So is there any way that we can review, like in the first quarter? What's still outstanding out there?
Yeah, we can get what's called a deferral report.
Okay,
That just kind of shows if there's any claims that are outstanding, so by all means, we can get that. And then this year, starting the year, we had $24,000 in claims versus 86,000 in liability, but that's really not that unusual because it's on an incurred basis. So anything that was incurred, it has to be incurred and paid in that month for it to be. So 24,000, that doesn't really mean anything good or bad. It's lower than the liability, but it's kind of reflective of, that's a lot of claims for 1 month, to be honest with you. When you think about it, there's normally a claim lag of a couple of months. So we're in a surplus after 1 month, but what happens throughout the year is we'll just have to keep an eye on it. But by all means, I mean, come April, like we can go to Blue Cross and like I said, give me an idea of what's outstanding. So I'm gonna make a note of that. The next page, page number 3, this is more than anything, just a reminder of what we did. We went to market at the renewal. So we looked at other alternatives outside of Blue Cross. Not only fully insured, but also other self-funded alternatives. We were able to find a couple of alternatives that were more competitive than where we are right now. We decided to stay where we're at. We decided to stay where we're at on the renewal. And I think part of that is just the fact that we wanted to stay with Blue Cross. And we wanted to give, that idea of staying on a self-funded plan, the opportunity to work for it. We could have, if you look right in the middle, we had an offer with Blue Cross of $1.2 million. You guys see that?
Yeah.
We had an offer of $1.2 million. The Kansas state plan, we could have gone to that. That was yet another $1 million. But I mean, it's 107.8. So we decided not to do that. There's a lot of caveats with that state plan. Because what happens with the state plan is that's the premium, but the state plan requires you to pay a larger portion of the family cost than what you're paying right now. So even though it looks like that would be, something that you might want to consider, you really have to dive a little bit deeper into that. Because the plan is not the same, the plan design is not the same. And what the Kansas state plan does is they require you to pay a certain amount every, of the single and of the family. But, I mean, gross premium, I mean, they're saving. Okay? Cigna was not competitive on their self-funded plan, they were higher than the renewal. And then we also had a fully insured plan from United Healthcare. That we could save money, we could save money on as well. Okay? Any questions about any of that?
So why do you think the two declined to quote? Are they just,
Primarily, it's a reflection of the size of your group and the ongoing plan.
that's,
You know,
that was the reason I was asking
Yeah.
that. Do they look at it as,
Yeah.
as we're not a good
Yeah.
fit for them?
yeah, size of the group, and when you have 60 employees, which is what we had. On a self-funded plan. Frankly, the market's pretty lean, and there's not a lot of, there's not a ton of alternatives. But there are alternatives, I mean, we do, Phillips County is on a self-funded plan with a captive. And they were with Blue Cross, and they decided to go with the captive. And we've got other counties that are looking, that are kind of on this freedom claim deal where they take $6,000 deductible and they self-fund below that. And we've got more companies that are looking at self-funding plans, so. With Blue Cross, I mean, we've always found, that the employees, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Blue Cross is tough to lead. They've been tough to lead, and but there's plenty of alternatives, and one of the things, if you flip over to the next page. One of the things that I just kind of want to just get across and basically just communicate is. We can look at moving away from Blue Cross if you want to. I mean, we've got a lot of, we're independent, we work for you. And if you want, there's a lot of different levers that we could pull to help control your claims cost. If you look right at the top, there's a couple of alternatives here that have 10 to 30% potential strategies that are different than what you're doing right now. One is we could go to some of the local hospitals and get a direct contract with them. We get a direct contract with them and we get them to pass on a percentage of Medicare. That could result in some pretty significant savings, at least on the hospital. But there's trade-offs, because once we do that, then you get to lose some of the other network providers. So the reference-based pricing is another strategy, and that's a really aggressive way where we go out and we negotiate all the hospitals in the area. We're going to tell them we're not paying them based off the PPO discount, which is about 250% of Medicare. Typically, you go to about 150, 160, 170% of Medicare, and you tell the hospital that's all you're going to pay. So you're negotiating every bill with the hospital, but it has the potential. For example, if we have $1 million in claims, and say 500,000 of those claims, which is probably what it's been, I'd have to pull it, but if you have $500,000 in claims that are hospital related, and we take an additional 30% off that, it's $150,000 in savings right off the bat on yourself on the plan. But it's not without some challenges, because you're going to the hospitals and you're telling them you're going to pay them about half of what the cross is paying. So you have to battle with the hospital to get them to agree to do that. I'm not saying you can't do that, but
Who's we? Who's calling the hospital?
the reference-based pricing company is saying they're negotiating on behalf of you guys with the hospitals to tell them this is what you're gonna pay.
Is that different than, that's not Watco?
We're independent. we're,
I don't know I don't know how this works, I guess.
Yeah, so the way this works is I go out to the market and I find whatever is in your best interest. And I also negotiate on behalf of Brown County in the market.
I just meant the mechanics. You said we have a reference-based pricing structure where you're negotiating with the hospital. When I meant we, who is we? I mean,
That would be it's a reference-based pricing company that. Like a
third party. Okay.
Outside.
That is-
Honestly, Lucas, it'd be like a different company that we call.
Okay.
So it's like a different vendor that we put in contact. And you know, the reason that this market is developed like it has. Is because people are looking for alternatives to Blue Cross. You
And
know,
the reason they're looking for alternatives is not because they're not happy with Blue Cross, it's because the costs just keep going up.
you can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
You can't afford it. You can't afford it. And there's lots of strategy. What you guys have done, what we've done, and frankly, 75% of all the counties and the companies in the state of Kansas, they're working with Blue Cross. They're working with Blue Cross now, and they've always worked with Blue Cross, and they're hard to lead, but that doesn't mean that we don't. It doesn't mean that we don't look at alternatives. If you want us to, I mean, that's kind of our job.
So if I could just ask a question, because again, it sounds like I'm making excuses and I'm not trying to, but I'm new here, right? So I haven't sat with you very much.
Yeah,
And so all these processes that we're going through, I asked a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Because I'm the newbie here.
sure.
So with a client like Brown County, how often is it once a quarter we hear from you, or the county hears from you, or is it twice a year? I mean, with what we're contracting for, what is normal for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think normal would be once a quarter we would get together.
Okay,
We would review the claim, we
Sure.
would, you know, have a meeting like what we're having. This is a little bit earlier than what I would normally meet
Right.
because of some of the things that have happened that was brought to my attention.
Yeah.
You know, you've got third party involved, and normally I would probably be on March or April.
okay.
And the reason.
But that sounds totally acceptable. I mean,
Yeah,
so my previous employment,
yeah,
insurance became such a big deal that
yeah,
it turned into once a quarter.
yeah.
I was meeting
Yeah.
face to face.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was asking, is that
Yeah.
normal, or do you? If we were to say, can we meet once a quarter?
Yeah.
That's acceptable to you?
Very,
Okay, because in all honesty, you're the professional here.
Yeah.
This is your business.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
for us to be up to speed, and it's like a living document. It's constantly
Yeah.
changing,
it
right?
is.
So what worked 3 years ago may
Yeah.
not work anymore. So
Right, right.
I don't want you to feel like,
Yeah.
like I'm questioning you, like what, why did you do this?
No,
But I need for myself,
Yeah,
I need to be able to talk to you once a quarter
sure,
and say,
yeah,
what's the latest, greatest, or
Yeah.
what are you seeing, or
Yeah.
what's the trend? Because
yeah,
in insurance, as you know, there's trends that,
oh, yeah.
I mean, that direct to employer
Yeah.
thing with the hospital is
Yeah.
becoming kind of a trend.
Yeah, that would be a trend. That would,
So,
definitely-
and I'm used to HMOs,
yeah,
coming from the West Coast,
Okay.
which are totally
yeah,
different. So,
yeah, they are different for sure, yeah. You know, the other thing that I would say, which you grew from my perspective would be, we have all these strategies here, and there are different levers that we can pull, and a lot of them, frankly, have an impact on the employee.
right,
They have an impact on the employee because they either require the employee to do something that they're not used to doing.
right,
Going to a different provider, paying more for the services, going to a different provider than the provider that they're used to seeing.
right.
So there are some things associated with that. When we talk about trends, the company that I work for now, One Digital, is very much into technology and very much into a lot of AI related stuff. And I know a lot of people think about that, and it's like, and I'm the same way because I'm an old school guy. I'm not real good with that, but we've got some resources that can help us better ascertain what our problems are. What I mean by that is we get data from Blue Cross, but the data from Blue Cross is typically not as transparent, if you will, as what we could get through some of these other sources. And we've got a service that we can access that will tell us where some of the issues are within our plan, where we could utilize maybe different strategies to help us control our costs more effectively, where we could maybe look at alternative prescriptions that what our employees are utilizing right now that could be more cost effective for us. And it's something that I can offer up just as a result of being with One Digital, but I need your permission to do it.
Does that, so a lot of times we say things at this desk. And then we don't have to do the follow through as far as all the extra paperwork and phone calls. So if we said yes to things like that, what happens to the people in the county courthouse that do have to do that work? Now, I'm speaking to Barb in the back.
Yeah, so basically what happened, we've got, all we need is the census. And I think we've got the information that we can get from the phone. So the census data that we get, we put it into a program and the information will kick us out. Kind of like what type of challenges we have without identifying any individual. There's no compromise of any
Right.
PHI or anything like that. Well, kind of, you talk about, well, what could we do when we get together again? Is we can do our work. And then we could analyze what some of the issues are. And then we could come back to you, instead of just saying some of these deals here that, we can implement a lot of these, but honestly, again, it's gonna be asking the employees to do something different on all of these.
Sure.
To me, it's more of let's dig into what our issues are.
Yeah.
And then once we know what the issues are, instead of saying, okay, I'm gonna go out to market, I'm gonna find a different TPA, I'm gonna find a better deal. Well, I mean, what really helps us with this on a self-funded plan, it's not finding a better deal or a better mousetrap. It's finding out what our problems are and then working together to come up with solutions that specifically address it.
Yeah, and what you find quite often is preventative health
Yeah,
is a huge thing.
yeah,
And the
Yeah.
drivers in these numbers is
yeah,
preventative health.
yeah, taking care of themselves and lifestyle choice.
So then I just want to ask my same question again, maybe a little more clear. But so when we ask things of your company, does your company ask extra of the people that are doing the book work here in the courthouse? Because I want to be very
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah.
If we overload people.
Yeah.
Trying
Well, I
to
would say
research
that,
different
I
things.
mean, working with Nikki and working with Barb, with this particular situation. And they're great at what they do, but all I need to do is just make sure that I've got the data.
Okay,
So there's nothing more that they need to do outside of this. There's a census data and that data has some information on it. All I'm gonna ask them to do is verify that it's accurate. That's the one thing that we can do.
okay.
So, I mean, we've got kind of a third party, I think, that's been entered into this. I mean, I'd like to say you guys have hired us to do our work. I don't know why you need somebody else outside of us.
I don't think we've hired a third party.
Well, not hired, but asked for information.
Right.
You've gotten a phone call, but do you mean
Yeah.
from another insurance company
Yeah.
or do you mean?
Yeah.
with our
That's
county?
because that insurance company is working with Amberwell.
Amberwell.
Yeah, but you're not referring to.
Gotcha.
We have a local hospital.
Local, I'm familiar.
Okay, yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
And so, again, as you know, anytime you start poking around or whatever, everybody's second guessing, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And we feel our job is to always be
Sure.
reviewing this. You hit something that's very important to this conversation. We can go get a cheaper number. Okay? Through you.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there were.
But I don't think any of the commissioners that ever said, we want the cheapest, that's all we care about.
Yeah,
Because the cheapest also means it affects benefits. And
Yeah.
so we're not just saying we want the
Yeah.
cheapest out there,
right,
but
right.
what we've started is just trying to figure out, are there other. You know, we have a local hospital here that obviously
Yeah.
wants to work within the community. And
Sure.
so we would never turn away
Yeah,
a quote
yeah,
and say, this is what we do. It doesn't mean we are doing it.
yeah, yeah.
But it's our job to at least
Yeah.
look at stuff. And if we
Yeah.
say, no, we don't want to talk to these people,
Yeah,
we're not doing our job.
yeah.
So that's
Well,
what it's about.
Yeah, so what was presented was information that looked like replicating everything that.
I
we
did
do.
take a call from
Yeah.
another insurance agent.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
my thinking, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. My thinking is the more information we have, the better decision we can
Yeah,
make.
yeah,
But I'm
Yeah.
not real familiar with how the health insurance game
yeah.
is played.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean,
And I think what you're talking about is a different thing than the envelope.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here,
Sure,
but
yeah, there are.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hide anything. I mean, I
Yeah.
took a phone call and.
Sure, oh, of course, well, that's the nature of this.
Sure.
I mean, everybody's looking to get in, and I just wanted to understand kind of where we are relative to the work that we're doing. And I feel like we're in a good spot, we have some good communication.
So we had given our county counselor, he's here normally, he had asked for your phone number.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, have you guys been in contact?
I've tried,
Okay,
I've tried to talk to him a couple of times, and I've never heard back.
but, okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
We'll get that
Yeah.
encouraged.
But I'd love to open up lines of communication so we can work, I mean, to the extent that you want me to work with your county counselor, by all means, we would be
Sure.
very open to work together.
Right.
Well, what we see is, and not Watco, this has nothing to do with your service.
Yeah,
We see the insurance side of this becoming the monster that
yeah,
is just insurmountable. I mean, again, 2025, 2026, 2027, but what about 2029,
for
2030?
sure, for sure.
How do we get ahead of this, or
Yeah.
at least, we don't want to be reactive
Yeah,
on this.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and quite often, I've been through a lot of this where you go through this whole ordeal of looking at different options and learning about different things. And you are pleasantly surprised to find that what we're doing currently is the best thing,
yeah,
because it has a lot
Yeah.
more to do. It's not just a number by
Yeah.
any means,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity that you all have provided for us to work together and for me to listen and make sure that we're doing the best thing that we collectively can do, is, that's the only opportunity that I could hope for.
Yeah, and so I would just make a general statement that we went through the budget process last year. And we made some changes, most of them were in road and bridge, any significant savings were in road and bridge, and we didn't fix our problems. We just managed to stretch them for another year, so we didn't change our budget scenario really at all.
Yeah,
And so we're still in the same sticky spot.
yeah, yeah.
So, but I'm sure most people you talk to say the same.
I mean, I understand where you guys are. I mean, you're paying a lot of money for that. I mean, you really are. I mean, for a small, relatively small group, I would say that you're paying, and that's where one of the recommendations that I would have is to do this health risk assessment through this AI tool, because I think it would help us really kind of assess what we need to do in order, or looking at, you know, what's driving the cost, and then developing strategy to the extent that we can, and mitigating that as we move forward.
Well, I also think that, just by you coming in today, now I understand, we feel that once a quarter works for us, right?
Yeah,
Because it keeps you in front of us, it keeps us asking
Yeah.
questions.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, we've always got questions, or I always have questions on health insurance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know what you're asking, but I'm doing now, so.
There are, if you flip over to this last page, there's some information on some of the tools that we can offer up, that we now have access to. And a lot of this is, the planned cost of the budget, that's just a matter of us getting together on a quarterly basis and evaluating the numbers. Kind of similar to what we're doing today. This emerging risk thing is, that's what we can get better information on, utilizing some of the tools that we talked about. Okay. And we can engage on that right now. The pharmacy spend, the high cost claimants, the health segmentation, plan modeling. Those are all things that we're gonna gain through the AI tool that we're gonna access. That will help us do a better job of identifying what the issues are. And it'll give us really good tools for us to work together moving forward.
So I've made a comment to a few people that sometimes organizations, the county's an organization, for lack of better terms, but they kind of get where things work and they go on autopilot.
Yeah.
Right? And I think what the commissioners and I are trying to do is we're trying to come off of autopilot.
Yeah.
And take control and kind of look around a little bit and just look at stuff, make sure that.
Yeah.
To prevent
Yeah,
raising taxes
yeah,
5 mils.
that
So,
makes sense. Yeah, it definitely makes sense, for sure. And I think some of the changes that you made, and I think some of the accommodation that you made as a result of the changes. I think those are changes relative to the market. That honestly, we're not out of anything out of the normal, and what I mean by that is, the reimbursement on the claims below a certain amount, I think was something that a lot of companies have done away with.
Yeah.
And I think, the other thing that I really respected is the fact that you worked with some people that had come to me that were concerned about it, and I think that was.
Yeah.
I think that was the right thing to do, and I think you did it, and I respect that.
We're appreciate that. We're
Yeah.
doing our best in
Yeah.
kind of unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
Does your company, you see a lot of different organizations. So we're making this decision, trying to balance economics and what do you call it? Services, there you go, and benefits. So
Yeah.
could we get some sort of, I guess, help from you on trying to explain the decisions that we make? And I'm not looking for a barrier or a buffer between us and the people that get benefits from the county, but
Yeah.
explanation, here's where we are.
Yeah.
And this is what's different in 2026 than it was in, say, 2016.
Yeah.
The market changed.
I think one of the things that you're saying, that he just mentioned it, that we're not an island here. He's seeing other people kind of make these same decisions, other counties make these same decisions. Is that correct?
Totally. Totally. And we just went through the worst renewal season I've ever had. I've been in the business 40 years. And the renewal season, claims trends and specialty drugs and healthcare costs. They're higher now than they've ever been. And people are having to do things that I talked about 75% of the groups around the state are with Blue Cross. Well, some of the things that we're seeing is Blue Cross is having to change some of the ways they're doing business in order to keep business. But their stop loss rates are going up higher than I've ever seen. And some of the renewals I've got this year are just a continuing trend. So we just got to continue to fight that.
You've given us 33 minutes of your time. We
Wow.
appreciate it.
So, to your point, of what you just said, we've got a lot of data, that we can share with the county that shows what other companies are doing across the country, where their benefits are compared to where you guys are. I mean, I can get that data to you. I mean, that's an example. And they look at it, One Digital's got
information that they provide, because we get this request all the time. I mean, people say, well, what's the average deductible?
No.
You know, what's the strategy as far as what the employee has to pay? What are they having to pay on the family side? What are medical care costs for a typical company? I mean, the data is available, and I can, and I mean, if you'd like me to get it to you, I can get it to you, or the next time we get together, I can bring it, either way.
And that's soon enough for me.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I mean, similar, we saw something like that on the deductible for the building across the street, right? All of a sudden they came, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They came back and said, well, you're looking at your deductible, it's really, really low compared to what's out there. So,
Well,
Appreciate your time today.
yeah, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
thank you.
We're all on the same page. What do you want Greg to do going forward? So he's gonna provide the information on things and everything. But as far as that other request,
What other request?
one that's such a big deal. Awesome.
So the request was, when Amberwell talked to us, they asked for some information. Basically, it's our history. And they wanted to be able to have that so they could say, well, on a company like yours, just like you had two companies that looked at us and said,
Yeah.
We don't even want to quote.
Yeah.
They basically needed enough of the history so they
Yeah.
could say, if you would even fit with us. And then if we did,
Yeah.
this is what. So that information is all stuff that I'm sure you already have.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So would you provide it directly to Amberwell, or it has to go through?
I would rather it go to you, Nikki, and then, because I'm like in an email, right? Where you could forward it on, because you need to have,
I'm asking, you want me to forward it to the other companies?
no, I think it should go through our county counselor since he's kind of on this, right? Did you get a contact information from them? You did. Okay. Wasn't quite aware of that. They could go to them then.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that's somebody that does what, yeah.
I'm always worried anytime somebody talks about health, it's like with HIPAA and all that, where does it need to do?
Talk about sensitive stuff. Do we need to go in executive session? Because I'm a little out of the loop on some of this.
You know, Austin doing whatever he does, and so now a third party, which is basically the same thing, Greg.
Yeah.
Is asking for information. For Amberwell, I guess, but we have no contract with them, we never even spoke to them, your group of three. So I'm just making sure that's
So you're not dealing directly with the hospital, you're dealing with
Another.
third party.
Their insurance broker.
Okay.
So the only thing is if there's anything sensitive, they can't just go to a third party. That's all I worry about.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I would say is, I'm happy to work with Amberville as your representative.
Okay,
I'm happy I'm happy to work with them. Since you hired me as your benefit consultant, I've got no reason to not support them fully. Now, what they might say we've got a relationship over here with this third party. And if they do, I would say, that's fine, bring them in. And then I can just help you like I'm helping you right now. Without any conflict of interest from my perspective, I'm just gonna work on your best, within your best interest. So, with your permission, I think I would just go to the contact. At Amberwell and find out what they need, and I'm happy to work directly with them.
That sound okay? So the reason the reason I'm confused is we've tasked certain people with doing certain things. We're
Yeah.
doing the counselor, and there's a lot of insurance stuff
Yeah.
goes on that they're working on
Yeah,
that we really aren't. I mean,
yeah,
if we ask questions, they would certainly tell us, but we're
Sure.
not in the mix. So,
yeah,
so what you're saying is you could work directly with Amberwood.
yeah. Is it David Thompson? Yeah,
And does that make sense?
that
On,
would make more sense, yeah, than going to another third party.
does that make sense?
I can't answer for Randall.
What makes sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense, yes.
Okay.
But I can't answer.
Okay.
It's part of the problem too, is it's either one or all have to go talk. You understand? In other words,
Right.
If I go by myself, I can go talk to him, but if we're gonna go talk to Amberwell, then it has to be the three commissioners and also
Yeah.
has to be Nick at
Well,
the same time, so
I
that's
guess,
why.
I guess where I'm coming from is, I've got no reason but to do the best that I possibly can. Based off what I know about the group when I work with Amberwell, and then I'll represent your needs just like I represent your needs with Cross. And if Amberwell says we've got a unique contract with the third party person that where they can't work with me, then I'll just include all of them and I'll have them come in and I'll sit at the table and provide advice like I would any other city. If that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Right.
Do we need, is that part of your contract already where you can represent us? We don't have to change anything?
You don't have to change anything. I mean, it's already part of the contract.
Okay.
I mean, it's just,
Fair enough.
Amberwell would be just like any other.
Yeah, you mentioned you're already on the one sheet here, you already talked about this model, just not necessarily with this particular hospital.
Right,
Okay,
right.
wonderful.
Fair enough.
That answers that.
Okay. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank
You
you.
bet.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
coming in.
Okay. I'll be in touch. Okay, thank you.
I'm glad you asked that question. Get that cleared up.
There was some confusion if we didn't clear it up, everybody's curious.
Yeah, no, that was perfect timing. So, and thanks for doing that again. And because you're exactly right. It's either one or all. It makes things a little bit convoluted. Okay, so I think we're done on that. We correct? Can we roll on? Okay, we're at 2025 annual township reports. We're at 3:10. Does anyone need to take a break? We've been here 2 hours. Anybody need a break? Everybody good? Okay, all right, well, let's roll on.
And we might not be ready to re-roll them, but I'll have all of them as part of. Get it out there, so we
Okay,
So last time we were talking about this, there were two townships that you were waiting on. Did they respond?
This came, he brought in signature page for the annual report, but I didn't get any of that.
and they didn't respond to getting any additional. Okay, I'll call and fix that.
I don't know if it. So once you know, everybody else can see the whole workbook, so I can send it to. That's the budget next year.
The same guy signed up both for the trustee and the treasurer.
Oh. Guys, he just handed me a piece of paper and I brought it in and.
Actually, not part of. Fine, but not.
And yeah, some of them aren't signed all and some of them were, only one person signed them.
uh, Still,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
okay. All right, so do we just want to leave these for review then and deal with them when they all come in?
Yep, that's fine. Get approved on, except for.
Is there a deadline that we need to do that? Okay, cool. We'll just kick them till next Tuesday.
Does that usually happen in the first quarter? These reports get sent in and approved in the first
Well,
quarter.
they're supposed to be sent in by. January 31st.
Okay,
But we have no teeth. There's no,
right.
yeah, so it's one of those things. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a end of month reports.
Beginning of the year.
So I have
Some issues, but
I have one question for you. And Fredonia, it looked like the fire protection transferred money to the road department. Is that? Right, okay.
Okay, we keep that question for next Tuesday. We'll talk about it. So we're looking at the end of the month here. So any questions on all this? No? All right. And that's just informational, so.
That was in
Is there any
the,
questions on there? Nothing we have to, yeah, okay, all right. This when I get after 2 hours in a meeting, I want to tell you some of the process I don't want to rush through it though, but we do have a number 9. This is an application for employment on the road and bridge.
Do you know how this came in? Did it come in through John or Jerry, or did it just come in from the,
We can get that.
okay.
Take a. Might have pulled them out. I think that's probably-
I think that's what it said. I see that ads on the
So.
Kansas County Association.
Yeah, I guess we could.
Okay.
Probably.
Talk for a little bit. 10
Sure.
minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yep.
Okay. well, I'm
Hello, all.
You want to
Hello.
do the county counselor thing
Yeah.
first? And then-
Yeah, we're ready for item number 10, county council updates.
Sounds like a plan. Well, I've got good news on multiple fronts. I had a great meeting with a potential bridge alternative manufacturer or installer. It looks like it's on track for a potential fraction of the price. I don't know about the first two being self-perform install, but that's the goal, is how do we get to self-performance on the alternative bridge technology. So that went well. Last week, I sent over the draft one-page release form that goes with the policy for Amberwell Health related to inmate care, and that was met with Sheriff Merchant on, and he got good feedback from the state association that looks at that. So that and that's been forwarded on. So we're squared away on that front. I've got the Meenan Road closure that I still need to work on. That's my next to-do item. Last meeting, and in between here, I looked at the updates to the 2 permanent bridge easements, and so both of those are squared away now. And then we're working on, we have a meeting scheduled on Thursday with the city of Hiawatha concerning dispatch services and what that might look like. And then we're waiting to take next steps relative to Amberwell Health and the potential alternative insurance setup. So we're finding out about that. And then the next to-do list is sort of to do a little bit of an analysis on that. We got to get the Hiawatha dispatch thing squared away sooner than later. And so those 2 things, but now we're getting to the point where we really got to start looking and prepping out what's insurance look like for the next budget cycle, and then understanding what costs are relative to road alternatives so that we can get into the 27 budget. So those are my brief updates, but other questions?
Questions for Austin?
And I'll be there on Monday, by the way.
Tuesday.
Oh,
Monday's-
Tuesday, yes.
Monday's a
Oh,
holiday.
Tuesday, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Monday's a holiday, but Tuesday I will be there. Yep.
okay.
If that's helpful. If not, then I don't have to be there. But if it's helpful for me to be there, I can be there. So.
I think we'd like to see you. We may have some questions for you. I'll have some for sure.
Sure. That's fine. I'll see you on Tuesday.
Okay. Is that, do we,
Was there anything on your thing here that,
do we need to explain?
On the what?
We're looking at a list of ideas or some discussion topics I had, but we just had Greg Watkins in from Watco here discussing insurance,
Uh-huh.
and he mentioned it'd be great if you and he could kind of link up and communicate about some things that we'd like to do or have him do, and so if you could get in contact with him, that'd be wonderful.
I'd love to do that, and maybe I could set it up. If Nikki wants to put me on an email copy with him, I'll try to set it up so that I meet with him the morning before our meeting on Tuesday. Are we meeting a Tuesday morning or in the afternoon?
It'll be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So I'll try to meet with him before that. I'll try to come up early and meet with him before that.
Well, he won't be here though.
Yeah, he's from Overland Park, so he drove up. visit.
That's right. That's right.
So you're pretty close.
And I've got his email. I'll email him for some times to meet this not this week. I'm out booked up, but the next week. I'll
Okay.
email him sometimes. Okay.
Okay, okay. And I think, I mean, that's all I have.
Yeah, I was just looking at that list to see if there's anything else on that. That you gave us.
So, what about the planning commission member resolution? That's done, okay,
I think that's done. Yep.
right on. Yeah, it's just written on my agenda, so I wanted to double check.
Finding people that want to participate, get that resolution.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, okay, well, I think we're good, Austin. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Anytime, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, goodbye.
All right.
you.
Thanks now. Bye.
Okay, now I move we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel. What do you say, potential or job application? Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, for 5 minutes with 3 commissioners, county clerk. Do we need Tammy in here? Just, okay. Okay, 5 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved to second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. All right, we're back. We're out of executive session, back into regular session with no binding action taken. That is the end of the agenda as I see it, unless I missed anything. I handed out a copy of just some ideas I had. And I'd like to, if it's possible, I'd like to take a selfie video of us, the commissioners, so I can throw it on the Facebook to get people to our coffee with commissioners, just something short. Can I do that once the meeting's adjourned? Does it have to be an open session? We'll do it before the meeting ends. We'll be on camera, but with your permission, I guess. Is that all right, Bill? We'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot. Nothing big. Okay, the other thing, we heard a little bit in the weeds about a possible Falls City substation and maybe a transmission line from Hiawatha to Falls City. And I guess you guys know a little bit about it. Last I heard it was very preliminary. But I did read some articles about it online and MSC News. They actually picked a site now in Falls City for the development. And I wondered if that's even a possibility, maybe we ought to get in contact with someone at Evergy about it and get in front of it. But what do you think?
It's always a good idea to get in front of something like this.
Don't like building up plan.
So would it be okay with the group here if I just sent Austin an email? Because he has some contact with Evergy and just have him do it that way. Would that be all right, Nikki? You think? Okay. So I'm going to send Austin an email, see what he says. Okay. The next one is, did we get any updates from Kevin about the county tax sale? Okay. So okay. How do we want to, I mean, I'd like to have just a little bit of information.
Yeah, so can we request that he come before the board and just kind of give us input?
We can, but
I realize he doesn't have to do that, but in the past, how did he?
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, what do we do then? You're going to ask again? All right. I'll ask again and I'll ask again next week too. Hopefully we get that ironed out. I am getting quite a few questions. So we learned a lot actually talking to Michelle Brindle there about tax sale. Okay. I'm going to skip one and I'm going to go to the burn permit. Is there any new news on that? As I smell smoke in the air today.
So obviously, there's a lot of. Nobody's in agreement about the burn. Okay. And you guys, what I believe is you guys put into effect a new burn permit last year. Is that correct? It's still in effect.
Right.
That's what we're going off.
They don't like it.
Nobody likes it.
Okay, so we got to change it before people start throwing the match
Well,
or get ready for it again.
I've been reaching out and talking to a few people and it seems like they would like to change it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And so I didn't really have the history on how it came about when you guys put the new one in place. And so I figured that was going to be in the work session. We're going to talk about that.
All right. So you want to do that again, but the next work session is really on Thursday of next.
Right. If we can.
Okay.
Ask the fire chiefs to come up with what they think would be good.
Well, I've been talking to them and I think I could relay what the general consensus is.
Okay.
But that would work.
Yeah, and that's and Dawn's retirement from emergency management takes place the end of this week. That's right. So this will be great for the new emergency manager to get in there too. So for right now, we have a burn permit. It's
Yeah,
still
it's
in
in
effect.
place. It's in
It's just
effect.
the people are going to get some phone calls that may not want. Okay, the next one. So last week there was a grant received by the sheriff's office and I couldn't find information in here. Okay. Okay.
And so, as you guys know, I attended
You did.
yeah,
Good.
Jerry Moran did come down and talk a little bit about it. He talked about in the last 5 years, he's been, sorry about that, Nikki, I was trying to figure out if I could close that for you. Anyways, it looks like in the last 5 years, they've dispersed $47.5 million out to the sheriff's departments around Kansas for equipment. And this was part of it. It was something that was actually applied for they started this process about 2 years ago. And so it's just finally been approved. And it was approximately $177,000. And so he wanted to come by. He was visiting our sheriff station and a couple others that day and doing the same thing and just basically saying, this is how much money they have, and this is how long it's been going on. So it was just kind of an update of Jerry Moran. It's actually a nice meeting. And
So in a grant like this, when the sheriff's, and I don't, what's the process? If they write him a check for $171,000, does he spend it and tell us what he did?
so obviously it's for specific items. This is for equipment only.
Okay.
And so we could have John come in and talk to us about what the equipment is. It's under his budget, but it has to be for equipment. Okay. And from what I gathered, it sounds like the equipment that they're trying to replace is some aging vehicles with 200,000 plus miles on.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's great. Well, thanks for going. Did you get your picture taken with the senator? All right.
And I actually, unwillingly, because admittedly, I had nothing to do with this.
Right.
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 And so I told, at the time, I said, I don't feel like I should be there. It wasn't like something that I was part of, but it was good. It was fine.
All right. Good for you. Okay. The second one, I think we already have that in place. For instance, if someone applied for a grant which obligated the county financially, we have that in our hand. I think I remember reading that. Okay. All right. Wonderful. I asked Tammy about the bridge thing, the insurance safety issue.
Go back to the bridge thing. So you applied for one grant, or you didn't want to apply for that other bridge on the third building.
Well, we couldn't because it has to be, we have to talk about it and decide what we want.
That's still on the list. We've got to come up with an OS bridge before we're done. That's why I'm rushing.
So you're going back to.
Yeah, yep, because I had that as a number 11 there. Okay. Okay, the insurance safety issues, that's like the mop bucket in front of the stairs when we went through that with Kate.
Yeah,
Is
and
that-
so, the department heads have the paperwork. In fact, the last one was, we're going to deliver that today and walk through what that is. They're supposed to make some notes and then get that back to us.
Okay, excellent. We were notified that there's hunting going on at the landfill property. It's posted, no hunting. What do we do? That.
Well, that's a trespassing thing, right? If we believe that's happening, then what we need to do is notify the sheriff's department, I think, for trespass.
Okay.
Would be the first thing. Now, we could also reach out to our local game warden and notify them that we believe that there's something going on there, and that way they can include it maybe in their
Okay.
monitoring, so that would probably be
I'll handle that. I'll call out there and get that taken. I didn't know how to proceed. That's why I wanted to ask. Okay, this other one I mentioned, this is where I messed up thinking we were working on Thursday. I'll just reschedule that for Tuesday. The Green Peterbilt overhaul is complete. It's ready to go. I put Walker. Okay, so I notified John. I talked to him last week, but it's still there. The rest of this, we've already kind of hit during the meeting, and I'll then select this OS bridge for the grant application for Tammy. That's the last thing I had.
Well, we have an applicant that we said we wanted to bring in an interview. Okay. So,
I would recommend, Nikki, that if that's your department, that you would kind of condense this into. What? Okay. Oh, yeah, I think that'd be fine. Thank you. I picked a bridge. You guys pick a bridge. I mean, what stinks about this is just, these are the only ones that apply for the grant.
I know.
Everyone's on it. I know.
Well, again, the alternative is if we don't do it at some point, we shut that road down.
No, right.
And so I think that we're being kind of funneled into doing it because we have to. So that's not one that we'd normally go out and say, hey, we want to replace this bridge, because there's going to be people that are going to say, why are you worried about that little bridge out there? And the answer is because there's a chance to apply for a grant and it has to fall within these parameters, and that's why we're doing it. So,
I remember that also that the engineer gets good portion. He's looking forward to himself.
But isn't he based, what I'm using is the scores, the red scores that we see.
Just overall, whenever he wants to do a grant, he's looking for his company.
sure. Just like any salesman, they come there, they're
Yeah,
doing their
but-
job.
Probably.
Now that, the one thing about the dirt road bridge though is it's kind of a more complex structure since the angles that are approaching and leaving it. So if you look, there's not just the bridge, but there's some reflector walls and wing walls down there. So if it's one that we could get 100% of, then
One's 90-10, whatever it is.
yeah, the 90-10 is the one that we're already talking about.
Yeah.
So that one would be 100%.
Okay.
So that when we did bridge 365 or the one just about there, you know, they ended up costing some more, even though it was 100% funded. Put tubes in or something.
Yeah.
That's cost. So it's not
You
automatically.
Yeah.
Want to say,
And you said too, that y'all, I talked to Brady about that bridge down my way that I said was just a glorified too. And I actually did the NRCS do the drainage. It's 1,311 acres come through that. So that's the reason it's a small bridge.
we do them. They don't want to put rock in it, but water and keep them in their force. You want it to speed up people hard. I mean, even though, in my opinion, you can make it so you have the water come through and then it drops down, you just slow the water down. So, but they just don't like seeing it rushing through there. I mean, that was some of the reasons why they had the third bridge in there. It's, you know, it didn't rain that much. And, wouldn't have bothered if they'd gone over the road a few times anyway. I mean, sometimes it's not bad if water goes over
Around.
once in 20 years.
Yeah.
Around it.
It's a mess, but yeah, I understand. All right, we are trying to pick a bridge for the grant for the OS. That OS bridge for that grant program. And does anyone have a favorite? I mean, I have a favorite, but I hate to always go first.
Go ahead.
I'm on, I think 116 on Tumbleweed is the one I'm looking at. That was the dirt road with the really antique.
The lattice.
Yeah,
style.
stuff on the side that's pushed over. My logic is it doesn't win on the score side of it, but just what you said with the angle of the creek going underneath it and the length of the structure would be pretty expensive.
It's actually
Put it
the
on our-
complexity of how the creek flows is probably why. It's not just a straight approach. There's
That's kind of thing with those two bridges.
What was your, over here? What do you think?
That's kind of what I was thinking, but then so it's too big and usable, I guess, then, I guess, not. If it's other than usable, neither one, is probably should be.
So Bill, I'm operating under the assumption that the repair work done to that OS2 made that bridge service. Is it for now or for quite a while?
Well, it's always, don't have high sidewalls and narrow.
Okay.
That's partly why we thought we do better and replace it rather than repair it. But if it is, so, let's say they,
Okay.
well, of the bridges that we toured and the ones that we could make fit, the dirt road one was my choice also.
Which 116? What I said?
Yes, up a Tumbleweed,
Fine, we'll get that.
basically down to the county line. I think there was one more Willow, right? So we were like a mile before the county. And again, applying for it doesn't mean we get it. So it's not like we're making this decision, and just automatically gets replaced. But to me, it's better to we throw it out there and we apply, we see what they say. Like he said, the chances of them approving two at the same time is very, very slim. And so, you already have the one on hole 36. Doesn't mean we'll even get that. And there's a chance they don't approve either one. But at least we're trying. I hate to miss opportunities when these grants are out. You look perplexed.
Whoa. 36.
The 22. AS
That was
22.
the first bridge, that was the first bridge that we looked at.
Yeah.
So, Bill, are you okay with trying for 116? For this bridge on one wheel? You're okay with that? You're okay with that? Then do we need, are you okay with that? What's your opinion?
That's fine.
Forget this, 51 bridge, that, and you guys have done.
And it's I was looking back at pictures from ratings of PG's inspections, it's got quite a bit of damage. Like,
Yeah, no, there's a lot of complexity underneath this. It's not just here.
Right.
They had diverter walls and everything, like I said, so, right.
So will the, you
this is,
say complexities, will the grant encompass all of that?
Oh, yeah.
The dirt
Yeah.
work and all
Yeah.
that? Okay. All right.
So, for one thing, you said I had a soil favor in front of it, like, didn't you? You had the wall. up on that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, like a diversion wall.
So, Dr. Brady, he don't like those things.
Yeah.
Cause they're going to
It ruins the what?
the full fish tank for the water. Basically, it's that,
Oh, well, there's no fish in there. There's beavers in there. We saw that.
there's no fish in any of these creeks around here, but that's what he told me.
That's not entirely true.
I was gonna say
Well,
that's,
I caught a fish in the creek. Or you wouldn't think they'd be.
Well,
But
I know
that's
there's
fine.
little ones, but some creeks dry up too, but
So does 116, does that meet the parameters then? We can give her the go ahead?
I'm just, yeah, but just would like to see it put back. Some of them, not. Cause the downstream is so much deeper than the upstream. I think we need to protect the upstream, try to. Look at. Hopefully that will be fine, but
Well, I mean, we're kind of getting the cart before the horse on that one. We're applying for
yeah.
a grant that there's a good chance we won't get, but if you
If
were,
you do get the grant and they don't design it like you want, you're kind of stuck with what they designed.
Well, that's true. Okay, well, I would make a motion that we apply for the OS grant on bridge number OS 116. Is there a second?
second,
Okay, so we moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried. That's done. Tammy, thank you for that. And thanks for going with us on that trip and helping us out on that stuff. You've got a lot of information.
that's why it took me, I put these files.
Yeah. Okay, tell Brady thanks. And
I will do
if
that.
he needs anything, give us a shout. Okay, is there anything else needs to come before the commission other than our little short video?
so I just want to recap. So we're gonna put an ad in for the emergency manager. Okay, and then once that ad has been run, we can start interviewing. Okay, so at that time, we'll get the one applicant that we have, or the two applicants. that we have.
Yep. You got more, okay.
Well, that's
It's
good.
generating a lot of interest.
It's good, yeah.
Does any of them have a CDL?
Be nice.
You talked to John about getting the.
I did talk to John last week, so, but it's sitting there, it's not hurting a thing.
He's still coming on.
He wants to come on Tuesday. That's my mistake. I'll correct that. He's gonna come next Tuesday at 1:30, and he's got ideas about Goldfinch Road. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So Goldfinch Road, he is going to present to the commission an idea from Goldfinch and 270th, which is the road on the south side of Morrill, heading east, or excuse me, heading west to, I guess Keith must own this land here. Okay. To, if he could work with the county. Okay, if he could work with the county to take the first quarter mile and build out the road, make the road wide. That's what he's gonna do. And he wants to do it, well, that's what he's gonna talk. Can you explain it? Okay. So I think the thing that has changed is he wants to, they're gonna build, he said they're gonna build some ponds there and they're gonna have plenty of clay. And they'll have all the equipment there where they wanna do the dirt work, a lot of the labor.
Right. First the office, we're going to do a whole,
Okay,
do it, but then, oh, we can't do it, but engineer involved, we gotta have this involved and.
yeah, all right, well, I might ask, I'm sending Austin an email, I might just ask him that. Okay,
But maybe we just turn down.
Nikki, on this,
Good.
there was just a little amendment that you were making, does that need to happen before the?
is there anything else come before the commission before we kind of quasi adjourn?
So we have a coffee with the commissioners coming up Thursday at 5:30. Right. So I was gonna go by there early Thursday and just make sure.
So there's a dance there, 1 to 3:30, believe it or not.
Okay.
So,
Well, they didn't tell me about that, but I just wanted to double check that there's seats and all that. But then also, we've never done this before, so. Was there any discussion between the commissioners before we go into this? Because I assume the way it would go down is we're gonna be taking questions from people and then also maybe speaking a little bit on kind of what we're doing as a commission. You guys see it going any other way?
since there's no business meeting part to it at all, absolutely, it'd just be a question and answer and comment period, I think.
And so, because we're all together, we're not taking any motions, we're not voting on anything, are we freely to speak, basically like an open forum, just as if somebody came into our Thursday meeting? Okay. Is there any questions that we can't answer? Other than, yeah, personnel. Okay, well, this is the first one, so I'm just trying to kind of have some guidelines, outlines. Bill, did you get the thing where you were gonna be the guest speaker and kind of give a?
Yeah, I got that.
You got that?
About 2 hours.
Okay, so we can figure on 2 hours.
Bill Pollock sings the hits.
Okay. So, obviously, as chairman, when we go into this meeting, I'm sure you'll introduce and kind of talk about why we're doing this.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to, I can.
I was-
direct traffic.
Yeah, I was just gonna speak a little bit being new, and we'll kind of the things that we're talking about and in the direction.
So we'll try,
They're gonna have my 2 hours.
Okay.
we'll try to establish a timeline, and is 2 hours, is that workable? Is 2 hours?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to how many people show up and I can also see one of those things that as it breaks up, people will be stopping and.
So,
talking a little bit.
what I'll try to do, when we set it all up, is we'll just have kind of we won't really have an agenda, but we'll try to do a timeline, essentially to encourage people to ask their questions, but to remember that there's more people that would like to answer, ask them behind, and we'll go from there, so. And we still got a lot of stuff to sign, so. My plan here was just to say something for about 15 seconds, what we just did about the coffee with the commission.
Okay.
They're gonna get coffee from me, say it.
We're gonna have coffee Thursday, and I could selfie this, but we gotta go pretty close. We wanna get pretty close. I got long. Pretty simple. Do you anybody want to speak? If I hold it sideways, it won't Facebook right, will it? You want to video us?
You wanna be in the video, maybe?
No, she doesn't. I know she doesn't. So, you want to say?
Maybe I'll run the camera then.
You want to speak?
If you want me to.
So the trick with Facebook is when she says go, we've got to be looking square at the camera. Don't blink, don't have your mouth funny or anything like that, because where that camera starts, that'll be the still shot on Facebook. Hey, you want to speak?
You're chairman, so
Well, I'll do it. We'll just go 15 seconds and you tell me when you're ready. Good afternoon, everybody. Brown County Commissioners here. Just want to remind you about Coffee with the Commission, Thursday, February 12th at 5:30 at the Bruning Barn. We hope to see you. We'd like to hear some questions, and we'd like just to hear what you're thinking about. And any way we can help, come down and see us Thursday, February 12th, 5:30, Bruning Barn. Perfect. At all, really.
perfect.
Bill, you look great.
And so some gal,
You could use some more.
I could use some words, but I know.
Okay.
Sad.
Okay, is there anything else to come before the commission?
A gal sent me an email that works at the sheriff's department and wanted to bring some cookies to the, and I just said, thank you, that sounds nice, and hope to see you on Thursday. So. Right.
I don't think we're taking any liability issues with something like that, because we'll have coffee, we'll have water, and we'll have a few cookies.
There you go.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else to come before the commission, is anyone make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.